and welcome back to the We'll Take It From Here podcast. Another week, another episode. However, first, we are going to bring you our show's sponsor, because this episode is brought to you by Honest Supplements. Now, Joe, what's Honest Supplements? Well, let me tell you. In a world that is plagued by new illness outbreak every other day, it's important to keep your body performing at its best with the right vitamins and supplements. However, these products can get expensive, especially with rising prices all around us. Honest Supplements has resolved that problem. They mark up all products by just $1, saving their members an average of 50% per product. Yes, that means that the protein you're paying $60 for is only $30 on their website. They have everything from vitamins, sports supplements, recovery, weight loss, CBD, and so much more. It costs just $10 a month or $99 for the entire year to join the Honest Supplements Club. Timmy and I are both members and can advocate for the amount of money that you will save. And do we also mention that their all products are third-party lab tested? Because that's the only true way to prove vitamins and supplements actually contain the ingredients that they claim. Don't wait. Go to Honest Supplements right now to join today and start taking better care of your health. And it's right. If you train jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, or just in the gym, you better be taking Honest Supplements. So go to their website, guys. All right. Now it's time for the show. Back, folks, so we'll take it from here with Joe and Timmy, episode 179. Yeah, with the snap, right?
He loves snapping.
I snap all the fucking time.
It's the mics, isn't it?
Right? As you can see, we're not in Timmy's garage. We're not at my apartment. That's because we are at Canine Cooperative with Sabrina and Jaimee. Owners, founders, co-owners, partners, founders of Canine Cooperative.
Correct.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming and building your studio.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having us here. This is beautiful. It's a really nice area.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely.
It's very woodsy.
Everybody's surprised that this area exists in New Jersey. Everybody's like, New Jersey, the armpit of America. And I'm like, no, really, honestly, it's not that bad.
Come here.
There's trees and mountains and lakes, and it's pretty.
There's a reason why it's called the Garden State. You just got to get past Newark Airport.
Yeah. Yes.
That's it. Yeah, nice. No, I grew up in Randolph, which is north, but this is more north, right?
Yeah.
Randolph is like more west.
Yes, northwest. Yep. But it was open, but when you come out to like these areas, it's a lot more open. It's a lot more nice. I think it's nicer. It's got more woods, more land. It's peaceful. Yeah, it's peaceful. Have you guys always been in West Milford or no?
I've always been in like the surrounding area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I grew up a town over and then moved to West Milford like 10 years ago.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, but I've always lived in this area.
Okay, yeah, that's nice, not bad. So obviously, like we told you off air how the show works. I really just want to learn about how you guys started Canine Cooperative. But before we get to that, honestly, what we like to always do is just tell our audience who you guys are. Go as far back as you want, include as much as you want. Who's Sabrina? Who's Jaimee? We'll start there.
All right.
Fire up, girl.
Yeah. So in typical fashion, I'll go first. I'm Jaimee, and I was born in 1907. No,
I'm like, how far back are we going?
You look young for 100 and something, right?
Thank you. Yes, the running joke is I'm actually 190 years old. So if I reference things like covered wagons or the telegraph, that's why.
She was there for all of it.
I was. I survived typhoid fever. It's fine. That's who I am. I'm Jaimee. I'm 190 years old. Thanks for coming to the show.
We got a mystic on the show today, right?
What's about me? I'm a mom of 4 kids.
Oh, wow.
I have a whole bunch of animals, horses, chickens, dogs, cats.
No way.
Did not know you had the horses and chickens.
Yeah, I'm totally farm living is the life for me, Timmy.
The chickens go up and down.
The number of chickens go up and down. That darn fox. I have lived in this area my entire life. Fun fact, most people don't know, I did not want to be a dog trainer. I started out my life wanting to be a book editor. So there's a fun fact.
I didn't know about the not being a dog trainer, but I didn't know the book editor.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's my story. My origin story of getting into dog training is a little bit different than most. So, and then I didn't want to start my own business, and then I accidentally started my own business, and then I had to learn to run a business, and then I met this bitch over here, and I was like, I think I found my soulmate, and she's never going to get rid of me. And then here we are today, folks.
Are you a big reader? Is that why you wanted to be like a book editor, or like
Yes.
where did that come from?
Yeah,
Okay.
I still am a big reader. I wanted to be a writer for a long time.
So watch out for dog training books coming out.
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
If ever I get a hot minute, yeah.
As long as it's picture books for me.
We'll include some.
We did it to their
pop-outs,
kids.
with the pop-outs.
There we go.
This would be fantastic. Could you
Yeah.
imagine?
Right? That'd be awesome. No, I was a big reader. I was a big book nerd, classic to fantasy to just trashy werewolf fantasy novel. Like, you name it, I'll read it. And I always wanted to be a writer, but my parents told me you can't get a job doing that. And I always loved working with animals, and my parents told me you can't get a job doing that. And that's not a real living. You need to get a real job and go to college, because that's the marker of success. So
We all know that.
Yeah. So I did a 5-year degree in 4 years, and I was like, well, book editing is the closest I can do to being a writer and not starving to death. So I went to college to get a creative writing degree, and with a minor in journalism with the track for book editing. So
Interesting.
I have
Nice.
a bachelor's degree in that,
Awesome.
and then have not used it ever.
That is not true.
Well, I can write
You do a
things.
lot of writing.
I do. I
You
can write things. So,
It's
yeah.
very helpful.
So, how much after finishing college before you transitioned to the dog stuff? Or what was your path after college then?
So when I graduated college, it was 2008. And that's when, like, there was a huge economic, like, right?
Yep.
And nobody was hiring. So I got a job at a veterinary hospital and learned how to be a pet pharmacist, dispensing drugs and vaccines and all of this kind of stuff. And during that period of time is where my life shifted and my big origin story came in. And that's where I kind of got into dog training and took it from there. So
Nice. So you took like the experience with the medical side of the animal portion, and then you were able to, I guess starting this business probably makes it a little bit easier, right? When you have to.
No, there's a big part that you're like, you keep saying like origin story. I'm like, that's the meat and potatoes.
all right. I didn't know how much you wanted me to get into.
That's like the crux of it. Like the book editor stuff. Like that's like.
So, all right. So if you want to start off with my entire life
She
story.
ran a municipal shelter.
Oh,
That was after.
okay. All right.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. I didn't know if I was like just like a basic introduction to who I am, and then we take it over to you.
You're like,
It's
this
as
is what I
much.
should have been doing.
But
now
since you're all here to talk about me and me only, I'll just get right into it.
Seems like Sabrina's trying to avoid it.
A little bit. I know what she's doing. I know what she's
How about we let Sabrina
you don't,
give
you
us
don't know.
clip
You want me to
notes?
tell you about Jaimee? Let me tell you about Jaimee.
doing. She probably knows more about me than I know about me.
We should tell each other's origin story.
Yeah, right. See if we remember. Can't remember. Well, do you want me to tell the whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Municipal shelter it up.
All right. So, how I came into dog training was I was working at the vet hospital, and I had wanted to adopt my own dog before. Like when I was in college, I adopted my own dog. Like me, first young adult, I was like, I'm going to get a dog. I grew up with dogs. I always worked with horses. At the time, I had a job training horses on farms, all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
So I went to a shelter, and I saw this dog. He was like some sort of shepherdy mix, whatever, mutt, jumping 6 feet from the floor to the ceiling. And I was like, I want that one. That looks like, and they're like,
He seems exuberant.
he
Typical.
resource guards. And I was like, I don't know what that means, but I can figure it out. And so I took this dog home, and he was an absolute menace. And the only dog training resources we had at the time, like YouTube wasn't a thing. Facebook was still used for college. Like,
Yeah.
So this is 2008,
yeah, it was a little bit.
2006 maybe?
Yeah, 2006, 2007. And I got this dog, and so I read some dog training books. I enrolled in like dog training classes at my local firehouse, where you show up with your hot dogs and your clicker, and you're like, we're gonna do all the things. And he was a menace. He used to like bite my boyfriend's roommate, and like he dragged me in a lawn chair across the lawn to chase away a Jehovah's Witness, which really wasn't that bad.
Good
but-
dog.
Yeah,
Good dog.
Here's a treat. Here's a treat.
Yeah. So, but I loved that thing. It was like, his name was Huck.
Huck.
Which I soon found out if a dog doesn't have recall, you shouldn't name it Huck, because when you go outside and it runs away and you're screaming, Huck! People don't think you're screaming
saying
Huck. right? So, because it was after Huckleberry Finn, hence the book.
That's what I was going to ask. Yeah,
Twain, right? You know. So one day I took my dog for a hike, and I told this story to somebody the other day, and I had forgotten some of these details, so it's fresh in my mind. But I took him for a hike, had my hot dogs, and he was weird with people sometimes, but there was like a special needs adult group at this park, and one of the aides came over and was like, can this guy say hi to your dog? Like, he just loves dogs. And I'm like, sure, we'll see how it goes. I've come a long way.
Yeah.
I'm like, we'll see how it goes. And my dog, who was strange with people, sat right next to this, like, a autistic, huge, like 6'4" black guy, like, and he just sat there and pet the dog, and Huck just sat there and just let him pet. I was like amazed. I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, animals just know. And then so we got in the car, we came home, and he was crazy in the car, so he wound the leash around the headrest. So I had to lean in and unclip him to get him out, and he jumped over top of me and starts running around my front yard. And I called him to come, and he looked at me, and he realized I didn't have food for him. So then my neighbors across the street came out of the house. So he looked at me, I said, come. He was like, nope. Turned around, started running to them, was hit by a car and killed right in front of me. And the neighbors came out of their house. I was laying in the street with the dog. The police had to like drag my body out of the road. Like, I was just, people thought a kid died. And like,
Thank you.
Yeah, Tallulah's like, that's right.
Thanks to the audience.
But I was absolutely wrecked. I was wrecked because
I know that all too well. So
yeah, I was wrecked, and I was angry. And like, one of the things is, in that moment, it's crazy to talk about, but one of the most vivid memories of that moment is I knew he was dead because I watched the ticks from the hike leave his body.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's wow. That's
And-
eerie.
Yeah.
that is really eerie.
Yeah.
And so I was it was inconsolable, and all of my family was away on vacation. I had to dig the hole myself in the backyard. Like, it was a moment that changed the trajectory of my life forever. And once I kind of, had some time to grieve and went out and I adopted another puppy. I was like,
What was the time between Vincent and the puppy? This is always what I find curious, because people have dogs and then they eventually get another dog, and sometimes it's like a couple years, and then sometimes it's like a week.
Yeah.
So I'm curious on what this time
no,
was.
it was a couple of months. Like, it was early spring when he passed, and then it wasn't until late June that I got another puppy. So like 2.5, 3 months. So I got this puppy, and I just remember being so angry. And like, to our podcast that we recorded, like, I'm a big why person. I'm like, why didn't this work? Because I was 19, 20 at the time, and I had spent, like, I worked 3 jobs. I had to pay for college myself. Like, I slept in the back of my car for a while. Like, every cent I had went into training this dog, right? And the resources we had were Cesar Millan on Nat Geographic and like a book.
Damn books.
Like, that I had to read from like 1967. Like,
Is Cesar Milan the dog whisperer?
yeah.
Okay.
He was like the big name that kind of made a splash on TV. So I was like, why didn't this work? Why didn't it work to save my dog's life? If I did all this training and did all the things and did everything they told me, why couldn't I get my dog to come to me to save his life? And so that kind of set me on the trajectory to dig deeper and do a whole lot of research and mess around with my dog and all this kind of stuff. And at the time, that's when, in that time frame, I got married, I bought a house, I got pregnant, and I was like, I'm going to be a dog trainer. So because what was happening is, the things I was learning as people were coming into the veterinary office with their dogs for visits, I was like, if you just try this a little bit, it can make them a little bit more comfortable, or why don't you try this kind of leash or whatever? And people would come back and be like, oh my God, you changed my life with my dog. And I'm like, I don't know why. Like, that seems, whatever. But people didn't have this information. So I started teaching people this, and I was like, maybe I want to be a dog trainer. So I went online. I went to a dog training certification school and all that kind of stuff, because, fun fact, for those of you who don't know, the dog training industry is not regulated. So
Okay.
you can say you got a dog, taught it how to sit, and you could be a dog trainer and open a business tomorrow.
Actually, you don't even need to have a dog.
Yeah. You
Wow.
don't even have a dog. Yeah.
Really?
Yes. It's crazy.
Are there a lot of dog trainers who don't have dogs themselves, or maybe no experience with dogs, who become dog trainers?
Yes.
I feel like we just had this experience.
We did just have this experience. We just had someone come in and do a trainee, like to see if they wanted to work with us, and they've never owned a dog before.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
that's interesting. So, that's, I went there, I got certified as a dog trainer, and then popped out a kid. And then after that, I went back to the shelter that I volunteered with to work with dogs and got a job as their trainer. And the first week on the dog, they pointed to like 3 dogs. It was a municipal shelter. They pointed like 3 dogs in kennels that were going nuts. And they're like, we can't walk these dogs. Volunteers can't handle these dogs. So if you can't figure out how to get us to handle these dogs, in the next 2 weeks, we're going to euthanize them.
God.
And I'm like, all right,
No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. So I was like, all right, what's their deal? What's their history? They're like, we don't know. Animal control brought them and put them in the cage. That's all we know. And no one came for them. I'm like, okay. So it was just me and the dog, and I had to figure out how to work with a dog that I had I didn't know if it ate somebody. I had no idea. So I had to learn to read the dog. And at that time, I was so desperate, and there was no way to learn to read dogs. I used to get coffee and go sit outside of dog parks and just watch dogs. And ignore the people, just watch dogs interact with dogs and watch their body language and how they responded. And then I'd go back to the shelter and I'd watch the dogs and how I moved and how they responded and all this stuff. And then I was able to start working with these dogs. And then that was great, but nobody else could work with the dogs. So then I was like, all right, well, if I can do this for the dog, it does the dog no good. I have to teach these volunteers how to do what I'm doing so they can get the same results. So then I started teaching people. And then as a result, people would call up and want to either surrender their dog or return a dog they just adopted. And I was like, why? And they would tell us all this stuff. And I'm like, that's totally fixable shit. I'm like, if I could teach you how to live with your dog better or work with your dog, would you keep the dog? And they're like, oh, yeah, 100%. Would totally keep the dog. I'm like, all right, don't tell anybody, but I'm coming over.
Yeah.
Right. So I started to see clients in their homes. And then I'm like, all right, well, people would then be like, oh, my God, this chick came over and she totally helped me with my dog. And I went through all these other trainers and nobody helped me and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all right. So then I started getting random phone calls from people who wanted help with their dogs. And then I was like, oh, shit, I guess I have a business. So maybe I should charge money. I would spend 4 or 5 hours at people's houses, and they're like, how much do you want? I'm like, $45.
You probably felt bad even saying that
I
much.
did. I was like, I don't know, $45? That sounds great. Thanks for having me. And so that's kind of how I was like, oh shit, I have a business. And then I was like, I should start charging money. Well, if I start charging money, then I need to have some sort of contract, because if somebody comes back and sues me, so all of this stuff, that's how I accidentally started a business. And everything I did in business was, oh shit, this is a problem. How do I prevent this from happening ever again?
Yeah.
And then a whole bunch of Google and all that shit. And I still have my Starting a Business for Idiots book, Starting a Business for Dummies. That's how I learned how to start a business.
That's funny.
And it came with a CD for your CD-ROM and your computer.
Wow, that's throwback.
That is throwback. Did you find it harder to train the dogs or train the people?
Definitely the people.
Yeah, I'm like, easy question.
Easy question. It was
Except for Tim.
Yeah, except for Tim.
May.
Yeah.
Tim's doing a hell of a job every time I come over. May and Maverick, or I don't. Did Maverick come?
Yeah, Maverick was the first one.
Maverick. Great.
Maverick was one of the first groups through this location, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, they're great. So the people, why was that? Is it because they just weren't listening?
It's because I didn't know at the time, but what I know now is people don't understand dogs. Mm-hmm. So they wouldn't one of the things that I love about Sabrina and working with Sabrina is that we're very similar in the sense that we always ask why. We're like, why is what we're doing working? And what is happening in this? And understanding this and then learning how to teach people, that's where I had my spark of this is my thing, is I love teaching people and I love getting them to that aha moment where they're like, oh, that's where I get all I'm like, woo, that's what I love. And, but in my case, I was working with dogs that were really, really aggressive. I built my reputation on I was this chick that would walk into and handle dogs that were trying to kill me or other beings. And my thing is I have to teach people to think like me and respond like me so I can get them to have the same reaction out of their dog, get the same results, because that's what's going to save this dog's life. Because people would call me when their dog's like a week out from being taken to the vet and euthanized. And so I'm like, don't euthanize your dog. I can teach you about this. But the biggest thing that people didn't understand was how dogs think, how dogs learn, how dogs process information, how to move around them, how to live with them. There was just such a lack of education out there about it.
Now, I guess never having a pet, so never having a dog, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you have a goldfish?
My brother had a goldfish. I don't think I was born
Goldfish
yet.
by proxy.
Yeah. I think I was like 1 when that happened. Why would? Because I guess would you euthanize? Like if you didn't know or didn't know that trainers existed, right? Couldn't train the dog yourself. Is it the violence in the dog, the violent act that would? Why would someone's first being, I got to go to the vet? This is a perfectly healthy dog, but I got to go to the vet to euthanize it. Like, what's going on there?
Well, keep in mind, this was like 15 years ago. So society around dog behavior issues was vastly different then than now. Okay.
I also think that people would euthanize dogs like for things that weren't even that big of a
of a deal.
offense.
Yeah. So like
that's that's at least like my experience getting into stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. So like euthanasia was one of those things where nobody will take this dog. We'll either surrender it to a shelter or we're going to euthanize it. That's what happened. Rescues weren't a huge thing back then like they are now. And dogs were just dogs. You can get another one, right? Like that was kind of people's mentality.
It's like an accessory. It's like a purse or a car or something.
Yeah.
We'll
just replace it.
Yeah.
But in my case, the euthanasia cases that were there were because the behaviors that were coming out of the dog were egregious. They were hurting people, other dogs, other animals. Like there are multiple bites on the dog's record, and the bites were pretty severe, hospital visits and things like that.
Damn.
So like the euthanasia it's a dangerous animal at that point. And the people who would call me were not the people who were just like, oh, puppy peed on the floor, let's just throw it out and get another one. These people actually like cared about their dogs, right?
Yeah.
So it was, by the time they got to me, they either exhausted a lot of other options or what they thought were a lot of other options, and they didn't know what else to do. And this is what people would say, like, oh, there's something wrong with the dog in the head, just put it down.
Fuck.
Not
knowing that there's a saving grace.
Yeah, not knowing that they had other options, right? Like that was the thing. Now the culture around dogs has swung, the pendulum has swung so far to the point where like it's almost, we have to remind people that dogs are dogs. Like they still don't understand dogs, but not because they don't love the dog or they don't think so. They just think it should be a human.
Do you want to know the most toxic thing in the dog industry? Go on the comment section of any Instagram reel. Doesn't matter whose Instagram. It could be, the one that we don't talk about.
Yeah.
Him, that guy. Go on him. It's toxic. It does anything with dogs on Instagram. You're doing the training wrong, and most of the time it's saying you're being too aggressive. So,
Well, that's the joke too, right?
Yeah.
Like the only thing that 2 dog trainers can agree on is that the third one's doing it wrong.
Yeah. So it's like a toxic environment.
Yeah.
It's like you said. It's swung so far the other way. It's positive only training.
Yeah.
That's like you can't yell at the dog. You just have to encourage it. It's probably the best way to describe it. But yeah, so that's the full other direction where it's at now.
Interesting. Okay. Damn. So we've got the pendulum swinging.
Yeah, it's a huge swing, and we talk about it a lot because we're like, what's the deal with the culture of dog owners now? Like, we weren't experiencing this 5-10 years ago.
Yeah.
And one of the things about running a business is that we talk about the art of the pivot all the time, where we're constantly adjusting our trajectory of how we teach and what we say and what we offer and how we do. The core messaging and the core belief system and the core goal is always the same, but how we package and deliver that product for consumption and internalization from the human's psyche, because psychology is like my geek little side project. Like, you want to talk about your unresolved childhood trauma? We can talk about that too.
Which I feel like comes up 90% of the time during dog training.
Yeah, it's a lot of therapy. It's
Where
a lot of
where
therapy.
it stems from, really.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the conversations that we have with people, that's That's what you're uncovering.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I
very
just remember
personal.
from when we went through it with both dogs. Things would come up in certain situations where, like, I'm super tight on the leash. You're like, Tim, chill the fuck out. Chill out. We have the e-collar. The dog's on the leash. We're on acres of property. We're not going anywhere. We're
Yeah.
good.
It's all right, man.
Yeah.
Let it go.
That's
Yeah.
great. How often do these pivots happen? Like the pivot in how you're changing the approach.
The approach doesn't change. I think it's just the digestion of the information that we put out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And that's something that we constantly have to keep our fingers on the pulse of the culture in order to do that. Because what people need and where we need to start off with people, like we talk about this a lot, is like we have to start off now much more basic than we did 5-10 years ago.
Okay.
People would come to us understanding that this is an animal, a predator, a dog 5-10 years ago. Now we have to explain that fact to people. Like, you laugh, but
No, I know. I'm
serious.
laughing because it's like apparent.
Yeah.
It's very obvious.
Yeah.
I see it happen all the time.
Yeah. No, it's
Wow.
crazy. It's wild.
I noticed it, right? Like I noticed it in society, but I didn't think about it from your guys' perspective until you just said it. Like, yeah, that's weird. People are probably coming up thinking that they're dropping off their kid to camp while they go out to work, right? Essentially.
Yeah, well, it
Yeah.
is something where, like, especially where, like, Jaimee's, like, background comes from and where my background comes from, that's also very polar opposite, which
Okay.
is really interesting. And we have learned to kind of meld those things together to help create this conversation that's, like, more universalized and more all-encompassing, and it's not this pendulum swing. Like, we literally are all-encompassing right in the middle.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we can do the stuff that we do and see the change in the animals that we work with, because we work with some pretty extreme cases.
Nice. That's actually
Yeah.
really nice. But I think this is a good segue into your background.
You can't avoid it now.
Yeah.
I didn't avoid that. I didn't avoid that.
I'm just going to sit back right here and just.
Cross my legs.
So my origin story started when I was like 7 years old, when
Unresolved
childhood trauma really kicks in.
The best. That was fun.
I was the kid that got the dog. I got a puppy, and my dog had behavior issues. Separation anxiety is what you would have called it. She ate through drywall. We weren't home.
Holy shit.
My parents would expect a 7-year-old. They're like, "Here's your puppy. Like, you're going to take care of it, right?" Parents, do not get your 7-year-old a puppy if you don't want a puppy. So around
12-year-old dogs are really good for that.
They really are. So around maybe half a year after we had her, we gave her away. We adopted her out to a family, but the family lived down the street from me, and I, like, shared a bus with the girls, and they were just awful. Like, I would ask, like, how the puppy was, and they would be like, "It's not your dog anymore. You can take care of it." Like, definitely,
Damn.
yeah, definitely unresolved trauma right there. So, of course, that turned me into a total dog nut. I used to steal my neighbors' dogs. I was the kid just, like, running through the woods with neighbors' dogs and things like that.
The dog napper.
Yeah, totally.
I'm just picturing there's a video of a girl taking the husky out and putting the stuffed husky. That's what I'm
Right?
picturing.
They'll never
you.
notice. They'll never
Yeah.
notice.
Oh, God. That's funny.
So I, on the opposite extreme of Jaimee's trajectory, like, I always wanted to work with animals, right? And the second I moved out of my house at, like, 18 years old, like, I had a dog like that. And he was great. And to your question earlier, how quickly do you wait before you get another dog? I got him. I had him for 15 years. So I had him in college. He was amazing.
She had a magic dog.
I did have a magic dog.
He was one of those dogs that you didn't have to teach a thing. He'd been on this planet several go-rounds,
Yes.
and he just keeps choosing to come back as a dog because he's like, it's great.
It's
he was-
easy. I get fed and I don't do
Right.
anything other than scratch myself.
He would walk my girlfriends home from, like, house parties in college, and then the
No
next
way.
morning I would pick him up from whoever was
And
the
he
last
was a
person.
giant American
That's
bulldog,
freaking
like a big,
awesome. He
was
scary
super
dog.
fucking
So he
cool.
was like like chauffeuring,
Yeah.
escorting,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
bodyguarding.
And he was
these
anything but scary.
These drunk girls like home from parties.
They're like, I get someone else to snuggle with
Yeah,
tonight.
He was freaking amazing, and through no fault of my own. Although I did think I was quite the dog trainer.
Boosted your confidence, huh?
But I went to college. I was pre-vet in college. So that was always my thing. Like, I wanted to do something with animals. And I was pre-vet in college, and my grades really sucked.
Now I know where we get along.
Yeah. Which is crazy because she's like the most intellectual, geeky, nerdy, like sciencey brain.
But I don't think you
ever.
realize that when you're like that age. You're like, I want to party. I don't want to do organic chemistry. Organic chemistry is literally what killed me. Like, I would be a vet if it wasn't for organic
Thank
chemistry.
God I never had to deal with it, but I had a bunch of friends that were biomed.
Did they all have the molecular model sets?
I don't know. I don't want to know. But I would just hear about that. Yeah.
It literally is. It's a killer. But anyway, so I moved back home after college, and then I've actually had 4 businesses now, all something to do with dogs.
Oh, wow.
So my first business was a pet sitting dog walking business, and that's what I did when I moved home from college because it was great. We lived in a fancy town, and we got paid to stay in fancy houses instead of living at our parents' house, so it was great. And we could take care of dogs. And to Jamie's point earlier, like, just there's something intuitive, I think, about both of us that we just, I don't know, we can read dogs, and we were always the people that were on call for when people would go away or go on vacation, and they can't leave their dogs with other people, right, for whatever reason. So I did a lot of that, and then we added a dog grooming shop to that business. So we opened a shop under like a different name. I had a dog grooming shop for like 13 years, and in that shop,
Tell them the name of the shop.
Hair of the Dog.
I love it.
Yes.
It's like the first thing I ask, who wants a tequila soda?
Yeah.
So I had that shop, and usually anytime you open a business, I think what comes towards you is maybe like misfits, people that have been kicked out of other places, you know?
Yeah.
So I got all the dogs that got blacklisted everywhere else, which are dogs that show aggression. And for some reason, and probably Cesar Millan,
Yeah.
I fancied myself being able to handle these dogs, and I could. Not maybe actually realizing why, but I could. So I worked with all the dogs that got kicked out of everywhere else. And then I was like, I should probably learn a little bit more about this. And so then I got a certification in dog training, and just tons of continuing education. Like she said, I'm a total dork when it comes to just animal behavior and all that kind of
It's
stuff.
intimidating.
And then I opened my dog training business, and that was the third business. And then I met this bitch. And now we have the Canine Cooperative. But as far as training goes, like I was very positive reinforcement only. So for you, that means like you're not even allowed to look at your dog cross-eyed, essentially, right?
Right,
Like
yeah.
everything's got to be glitter and unicorns all the time. And then I started working with rescues and things like that, and there was a lot of dogs that were being euthanized, again, for things that are fixable, right? If you know the grand scheme of things, if you know how to deal with most things, these are issues that can be completely resolvable. And
I mean, like, take Maverick, right? You know, everyone knows Maverick.
Yeah.
Maverick's so chill.
He
He's a
was
good guy.
He was around a 6-month-old and a 2.5-year-old before, and he's the biggest teddy bear ever. The vets hated him because he was anxious. But you have to know how to work with it. Now
it
our vets
also is
awesome.
the pressure
Yeah.
that you put on the dog in the moment. And like, I'm sure we'll get into that whole conversation, how all of this works, but that's what it comes down to is pressure, right? Environmental, social, physical, all of these things are constantly impeding on a dog's life. And when it becomes too much, just like it is for people, they go, fuck you. But with them, it looks like a bunch of teeth and spit. And like you're left with maybe a gaping wound.
Yeah.
But that's essentially what happens. And I mean, I even worked for a veterinarian where we did a lot of medicating, and then I did the training, and even those dogs were being put down, you know? And it just became one of those things where I'm like, there has to be other ways. And what happened for myself is my first dog passed away. He lived a nice, long 14, 15-year-old life. And then 5 days, Tim, 5 days, I got another dog.
There you go. And you went from a 15-year-old perfect dog
to a puppy. Yeah, nothing makes anyone feel more inadequate than a puppy.
I think it's puppy pictures over in the corner.
It is in the corner.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's in there. I don't know. But yeah, puppies are.
So 15-year-old perfect dog.
Yeah.
Chill at this point at 15, and then 5 days later you got a puppy.
I got a puppy.
And how old was puppy? 2 months.
3 months.
3 months. Okay.
And he was terrified. And what was funny is I was like, oh, look how quiet he is. He's so quiet and observant.
Now we go, don't pick that one.
Yeah. Terrified. Literally terrified. I could not walk this dog anywhere. If I put him outside, he would literally, like, his nails, like, would snap back trying to get back to the to my place. Yeah. He ended up growing up into a very offensive dog. He would go after people. He would go after other dogs. He's actually almost killed dogs. He has bitten people. He has, yeah.
Which dog is this?
This is Django.
The one that's upstairs.
Yeah, the one that's upstairs.
Unchained.
Unchained.
Django
Yeah.
Perfect name, right? Watch what you name your dog, guys.
Yeah.
Stick with Fluffy.
Yes.
yeah, Fluffy.
Good girl. Stick with good girl.
Yeah.
So this dog essentially is what a few dogs in my life really made moments where I was like, I need to ask why. Why is what I'm doing not working? What else can I do? And before I got into it really with my guy, there was a moment with a dog in a rescue, and I'm the trainer for the rescue, right? And so I should be able to help with these things. But I only had one piece of the puzzle. I only had this kind of information and these types of protocols, and this is all you could do, because if you did anything else, you'll ruin the dog. And I went there, I worked with the woman, and it wasn't happening fast enough, if at all. This was a very confident dog, and that's the thing. When you have a confident, aggressive dog, you can't like appease them with positive reinforcement. Like there has to be a hard line set in the sand where it's like you're being offensive. Like this cannot happen. But we didn't know how to do that. And more importantly, what was instilled in us is that if we chose anything else, like literally the dog would detonate, and like it would be
And you would turn into the spawn of Satan.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm trying not to get angry right now.
It
drives me fucking, it infuriates me, because
It
it's
really
like
does.
this dog's gonna get put down, but you can't change how your approach is, or else
Death
you're
before
evil.
discomfort.
Yeah.
Death before discomfort. That's reality when it comes to.
Yeah, that's
to
what the
some of these
positive only
people are.
training
Yeah.
is. That's the environment.
And I'm like, well, if we're gonna kill him anyway,
Yeah, right.
Let me
but
just try. No.
So what I said was, okay. I went to the rescue, and I was like, we need to find somebody else that's more experienced in other methods, and they were like, okay, go ahead, look around. So I found somebody, and I talked to him, and he wasn't available for like a couple months, and I go, I don't know if the dog has this much time, but maybe you want to like chat with me beforehand. So he actually altered my whole world, because he was like, listen, if you want to be good at what you do, learn all of it. Every little thing. If you like it or if you don't like it, right? Because before this too, like I never used an e-collar, like prong collars. Those are tools of the devil. Like you don't touch that. That's terrible. That'll ruin your dog.
Now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know why people wouldn't use them.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing, right? So he told me all these things, and I was like, okay, that's what I'm going to do. But in the meantime, that dog got euthanized, because there was no one there to help. And the woman was like, I've had enough.
Jesus.
And rightfully so. The dog had some pretty...
I was gonna say, it sounds understandable. If we don't have the tools to fix this dog,
Correct.
he's too much of a liability.
Yes. And it's like you understand it to a point, but you start to feel really guilty, because you're like, this is my job description. I should be able to fix this, or I should be able to give sound advice to make these people feel safe with this animal that they're literally just housing to find it another home. Right? So that for me was the moment where I was like, fuck it. I'm learning it all. I don't care. And literally under the cloak of darkness, I went to a prong collar, e-collar workshop and then never looked back. But I will tell you, I lost. I no longer was affiliated with that rescue because they didn't want to have me.
You the devil.
I lost friends and colleagues because I decided to go down this path. I actually, when I opened up about my journey, I had trainers that sought me out to learn how to use these tools because they felt the same way.
It was like, for her, it was like leaving a cult.
Yes, it was leaving a cult.
Yeah.
I'm a cult survivor, guys.
She's actually fascinated with any cult stories, by the way.
That is true.
So you decided that you were going to do the right thing by expanding your horizons and learning as much as you can, and you got essentially kicked out or you left, right? You got ostracized.
I got ostracized for it, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem right.
Well, but that's how, like, that's the drama of
And what
dog
year
training.
was this? Around 15?
I'm like, I judge everything like pre-COVID, post-COVID.
Yeah, right.
It was definitely
pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID.
This was pre-shop, right?
This is before you had your grooming?
No.
Oh,
No, it was during my
this-
shop, and I
Okay.
opened my shop in 2008, so
And you had that for 7 years, you said?
13.
13.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's a long time. So between
Yeah.
2008 and whatever that math is.
Yeah.
I don't know math in public.
Well, you went to T3 the year before I did, and I went in 2009. No, 19. I went in 19. And so you probably went in 17, 18.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
That seems to math. But yeah, regardless. So
So-
I just did. I just went and learned it all. And then I brought it home to my asshole dog because he went through a very rigorous course with me. So I'm a Karen Pryor Academy graduate, which is quote unquote prestigious.
It's very prestigious, and it's very hard, and not a lot of people can do it.
It is true.
What?
So she like says this. She's like, I'm a Karen Pryor graduate, and I'm like, can we just like, for a minute, please? Like, that's a very impressive accomplishment in our field.
Because I don't know what that is. What makes it prestigious? What makes it
By the way, it's funny is like I don't even know what that is, and
Most people don't. That's why we don't talk about it. Like, everyone's like, if you were a real dog trainer, like on social media, they're like, if you're a real dog trainer, you'd put your credentials up there. And I'm like, no one knows what the fuck it is. Like, the people that, like, I'm not selling you. I'm selling, like, dog owners. Like, they don't care. They just want results. If I learned it on my own, or if I went to a school, like, if I know what I'm talking about, I know what I'm talking about.
It's funny though because I've done the research we talked on your podcast. Like you get numb with all the stuff out there.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't even know what this was because you get stuck in positive only Zach George bullshit. Pardon my French.
Yeah.
Not really. Fuck him.
No, fuck him.
He's very disingenuous. This is science backed. This is science evidence based. That's the devil. Anyway, sorry. Go back to your story.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like COVID related too. This
Hold on
is
a sec.
science.
There's a bug on my microphone, and I'm about 30 seconds for freaking out. Thank you, dear. She saves my life on a regular basis. Continue.
She's like, I will take a dog mauling me, but bug.
Hold on a second. You know what's crazy is how you were able to see that. I mean, because I'm assuming the bug was black. And how the hell did you?
No,
pick
it
that
wasn't.
out?
It was actually
It was
like
green.
yellowish green.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
And it was staring at me, and I'm like, I'm going to have a moment. It's going to fly in my eye. I was like freaking out about it. ADHD for the win.
There we go. That's why we all get along.
Continue on.
Continue on.
So, so you graduated that course in around 2017. Is that what you were saying?
Sure.
Okay, so
Sounds
around that
about
time,
right. Yeah.
2015,
I was
between
younger than I
2015 and
am now.
2020. Yeah.
Yep.
So, and then from there, you closed up your grooming shop after
Yeah.
you got that and went straight to training.
Well, I started doing training through the shop, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I really attempted my best to find someone that could like manage and run the shop and things like that. But it's a difficult thing, and
Yeah.
I think the bar I set for that shop, it was very hard for me to leave it in somebody's hand that actually respected that bar, essentially. And everybody respect your groomers. They're like hardworking. It's such bullshit work. It really is. It's so painful to your body. But yeah. So anyway, so I was like, I'm done with that. It was a successful shop. I was over it. And yeah. And then I worked out of my house, and then
We were competitors.
we were competitors.
Hey,
I love that.
This is getting interesting
Yes.
now.
All right. So now let's come together.
Now it's
So-
the us story.
So were you guys like directly competitors,
Yes.
like
Yes.
actively going at, like trying to steal
We
clients
actually
and stuff?
No, I'm not that active.
It was just more like we're both in the same world.
Like,
and
this is what would
Same
happen.
town.
Someone would work with Jaimee and be like, I don't like her, I'm going to work with her, right? Someone would work with me and be like, I don't like her, I'm going to work with her. And what's really funny is when we got together and now we see these clients on a regular basis.
Yeah. And they're like, I'm so sorry.
We're like, we don't fucking care.
don't care.
Doesn't
yeah,
matter.
yeah, we're different flavors.
Yeah.
It's cool.
But what was interesting is the dog we met over, that's how it happened, right? And like, I think maybe you weren't doing board and trains or something at the time.
I had just started doing board and trains, and the reason why she didn't want me to do a board and train with her dog is because I had small kids, and she was concerned for the safety of my children because of the egregiousness of the dog's behavior.
That's respectful.
Right. And I was like, okay, she was a very nice woman.
Yeah.
She was a very nice woman,
Lynn
and
was a
she
very nice
actually emailed us recently.
Such a nice.
And thinking about how long ago we like started working
Dexter,
together.
Yeah, Dexter had passed.
Dexter is the dog. Don't name your dog Dexter, people.
Yeah.
Dexter was the dog that brought us together.
Yeah.
And
What kind of dog was it?
He was a, oh my goodness.
A Bernese Mountain Dog.
Okay,
Huge. And I
because
actually
my
see
in-laws'
this
neighbor had a dog named Dexter that just passed recently.
That-
That's why I was.
tear out of my tattoo.
yeah.
That's from that dog.
Oh no! Shit.
Yeah.
At first, I thought I was like, am I gonna see the face? No, you're showing the scar.
Yeah.
Oh my
Tore the
God.
color out of my tattoo.
Yeah, that's nice.
Jeez.
No, he was a beast.
Yeah,
He was a beast.
Those are big dogs.
Yeah.
those are big
Yes.
dogs.
And he
They're
was-
mountain dogs. They're
yeah.
meant for protecting herds from lions and stuff.
That's also correct, people. Don't get a Bernese Mountain Dog unless you have mountains to protect. Yeah.
But I remember because I had worked with Lynn in some sessions in her home, and I was like, Lynn, you need something way more intense than this. Like, you can't. The dog would stand up and be over my head on its back legs. It was a huge dog. Yeah.
What, like 150 pounds?
Yeah, he was
No,
the
he was
dog
huge.
that
He
taught
was
me
big.
that basket muzzles, the black Hannibal Lecter looking things, came in rubber because he bit me through the fucking muzzle. I was like, how did that happen? And I was like, I took the muzzle and I went and I squished into my hand. I'm like, this is bullshit.
Yes, not a muzzle.
This is not a muzzle. So I'd worked with her. We had some conversations. I was like, you need something way more intense than just in-home sessions. Like, you guys need a so hard reset. I had just started doing board and trains in my home, which, like, how we started doing board and trains is an interesting conversation. But, like, we had just started doing board and trains in my home, and I had small children at the time. And so she was concerned about him. And I was like, I'll keep him safe. No problem, blah, blah. But I was like, go ahead, explore other options. Whatever you and he need, that's fine. She goes, hey, I found this trainer. I would love for you to talk with her about your opinion and your perspective because I respect it. And I'm like, all right, great. Like for dog people, dog trainers are very catty. Mm-hmm. And we resource guard information like you wouldn't believe. Like, it's just stupid. And so I'm like, I've got to talk to some bitch who's going to tell me something about, like, treats and, like, flowers and, like, I don't know what I'm talking about. And I'm
Which
like,
is
this
really funny because on my end, I'm like, could you ask your trainer if maybe she wants to talk to me so I can see what you guys were doing beforehand and, like, what we can do differently or maybe add that stuff with it?
Yeah. No. I was like, this bitch is like, whatever, right? And I will never forget, I have a terrible memory, but there are moments where I, like, have very vivid. I was
Burned in.
the parking lot of the Panera Bread. I had just gotten lunch, come back from a client, and I was like, all right. And she calls me, and it was a very awkward conversation to begin with. And then something about T3, which was a training workshop thing.
That's where I went under the cloak of darkness.
Right. I had signed up to go, and I was going the next month. And she was like, oh my God, I did that last year. And I was like, how did you like? And then we just started bullshitting. I remember hanging up the phone, and I called my husband. I was like, I think I made a friend. And then we went out to lunch one time, and it was like a very
It
funny
was so first date.
It was so first date. And I was like, I really like her. I hope she really likes me, but don't move too fast and scare her away. And that's how we met.
And now the rest is history.
The rest is history.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And how quickly after that, before you guys started talking about who made the first move about going in together?
Honestly, I don't even know.
It was probably me. I come in way too hot.
Did you guys just start finishing each other's sentences and we're like, all right, we're gonna open up the fucking?
How it started was because we both had dogs that we were living with in our home doing training, right?
It started with drunken conversations on last outs.
Yeah. So we would
That's
call
where
each
it
other.
would start.
So we would call each other at the end of the night when we're letting dogs out in our yard to go to the bathroom. We'd have like cocktails and we'd get on the phone and we'd be kibitzing about dogs and talking about this and like all this kind of like for hours.
Yeah.
And then we were like, oh, well, I have this dog and I need to work on this while walking. Do you want to meet up? And so we would meet up with the dogs we're training and we'd do stuff. And then it was things like that where we just started talking. And then I don't know how we just kind of slowly integrated and we did a workshop together. We started doing lives where it was we just went live. We're like collaboration, whatever. And we would talk about topics. People would ask us questions, much like a podcast or whatever. And then we organized a workshop where we came together. It was like a 3-day event at some farm of a friend of yours. And we had clients come and worked with dogs. We're like, we got something here.
Oh, that's where we met Tay Tay.
Yeah.
So the girl who does our social media, that's where we met
She
her.
brought her
that
asshole dog.
Yeah, she brought her asshole dog.
Yeah.
What's his name? Bodie?
Yeah.
Bodie.
Bodie, yeah. Everybody knows Bodie.
There you go,
I
Tay
met
Tay.
him. Yep.
Yeah. So we did a workshop together, and then we just started dreaming, right? We just started talking hey, this is what we're noticing about communicating with clients. Like, this is what we're noticing about things. This is what we're noticing about dog training trends. And then we're like, what if we, went in on something together? And we started looking. This was all pre-COVID, right? We started looking we're like, what if we merged our shit together? I don't want to do this alone forever. And we started looking at places. We looked at so many properties, so many places to come together, and everything fell through. It was just a disaster. And then we're like, all right, if we're going to merge, we started to align our programs. So we adjusted how we were doing things so that we offered the exact same thing at the exact same price point.
But at the same time, we also discussed very heavily about what do you do? Because the thing about us is that we take dogs that have severe behaviors, right? And a lot of them, either due to the fact that they are offensively aggressive or defensively aggressive, we can become friends with them within,
Days.
3 to 5 days.
Yeah.
Like buddies. Mm-hmm. So what are we doing? And these are the things we would talk about. Like, what are we doing that is creating that to happen? And then that's what we started talking about. Okay, so we do this, we do this, we do this. And then we started creating programs around that. And then we started to align our programs. Mm-hmm. So at the time when everything were to merge together, we could just sync everybody in regardless. And if she picked up my clients or if I picked up her clients, it would be seamless.
Yeah.
Yes, that's key. That's definitely key. No, that's good.
So, and we started to prep the minds of consumers for our merge so that when we found this place and started to come together, we never missed business.
Nope, it was right.
We picked up
through.
clients for Canine Cooperative and we stopped taking clients for our individual businesses. There was never a pause in business because we psychologically prepped the pool of consumers over, I think, a span of a year. We started this over this time span of a year to see us as from individuals into a unit to convenient messaging to flow through. So there was a never gap in our cash flow of opening this place. Because when we opened this place, we had this, she's a saint. Everybody looks at this house and they're like, oh, gorgeous property, big house.
That's the first thing you said when we pulled up.
Yeah, exactly.
Sabrina's so lucky. She gets to live in the house. I'm like, guys, this place was like a bunker. It was
you could still fall through the deck. I'm just saying. It's a total possibility.
She moved in to an abandoned building over a year and lived for 3 to 4 months without a kitchen. Literal plywood holes in the floor. And we built that place that building existed.
That was fun as fuck.
That was fun as fuck.
Literally,
we built that place with our own bare hands. We sanded
awesome.
the floors, polyurethane. We built that deck. It was I don't know.
We built the fence. You can tell.
Yeah, well, the fence.
Does it keep the dogs in? That's all that matters.
I know. It stood. Listen, digging a fence through
in
January with frozen things, an 8-ton backhoe could not get through the ground.
And a bonfire.
Yeah, we were
put a bonfire.
burning holes to thaw the ground to get posts in. It was insane.
Sounds
we
fun.
laid the turf ourselves.
Lots of tequila.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we fucking did the whole thing ourselves. But
Literal blood, sweat, and
was,
tears.
it was a labor of love. But we did all this, and as I talk about this, I realize actually how impressive this actually is.
It is.
We ran our individual businesses and ran our new business and built this at the same time, and it was a race against the clock because we had dogs scheduled to come and stay here in March. And we closed on the property. She closed on the property December.
Oh, shit. Yeah, that's a quick
Straight
turnaround.
to the winter. Perfect
Right?
timing.
So we were like, let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
And then, like, as soon as the papers were signed that this property was ours, we were here doing work, doing all of this kind of stuff. It was the floors that we did needed temperature regulation. So that was the last thing we did before we did, like, powder coating the kennels, all that kind of stuff. That was the last thing we did because we needed it to be warm enough.
In the middle of February.
In the middle of February. We're like,
In New Jersey.
We need
Yeah.
6 days of temperatures above 45 degrees for these floors to cure, or we're fucked. Fucked, timeline-wise. Because it was just raw concrete. And you can't have raw concrete. The urine will seep right through if dogs pee.
Yeah.
So, like, the shit we needed to learn, the shit we know.
Oh yeah, we're
you
not
never know.
flooring people.
No.
We actually put in this floor that you're on
Oh,
right
yeah.
now.
We did this.
Which
too.
is
good.
floor.
But
Very
like
nice.
the shit we needed to learn to do this because we didn't have the capital to hire somebody to do it. So we're like, well, we're going to become flooring experts, I guess.
And turfing experts.
Yeah.
I know this all too well.
Yeah.
So do you also have a How to Floor for Dummies book?
We should.
we should. We should.
Where's that book?
It's on the list.
That's impressive.
Luckily, you guys had YouTube at this point.
No, but you know what though? That's
yeah.
impressive.
I don't know if you used it, but it was there.
Yeah.
Did we use? Well, yes, we must have done something.
We did.
There's YouTube and Google at this point. It wasn't
Yeah.
2008 all over
We didn't
again.
have time to fuck around and find
Yeah.
out.
No.
That's for sure.
But yeah.
But
That's funny.
I can't say I ever used like a floor sander before, or an auger, or
No.
a fucking backhoe. I think I missed my calling.
Oh my God.
Backhoes
You
are
should see
fun.
this
Yes, they
woman
are.
in a piece of machinery. Woo, she's talented.
It's funny with my house. I went through a lot of the growing pains you guys did with getting this house. It was a shithole. So like you're saying all this, it's the same exact thing. And the pride you have when you're done and
Yes.
looking at it. We're talking about moving, right? And our friends say like, I know you guys want to move, but you guys did such a good job. It's like, I know, but
Whatever. We'll,
but
do,
here-
we'll
but
do a good job on the next
You guys
one.
aren't going anywhere from here.
Yeah.
At least for a long time. I hope you really grow a lot before that happens. But my
Well,
point is,
we got plans in
got
the works.
plans.
You got plenty of room.
for expansion.
Yeah.
You have plenty of room
Got to go in
here.
front of the town and all that. Kind
yeah,
of stuff.
but my point is, you have so much pride with, like you're saying, how
Yeah.
impressive it was, right?
Yeah.
You think back on it, and you're just like, how the hell did we do that?
I don't know.
You
Like-
know, there's points in your life where you're just like, I don't know what happened. I guess I didn't sleep. You know,
No,
I
we-
may lost.
no,
we
we
didn't
did not.
sleep.
No,
I
we
may
didn't
lost a
sleep.
couple years of my life because
Yeah.
of it, but you know, what you guys have built at this point.
But
is,
I can think back on those moments, and they were so fun.
We had
They
a
were
good time
so
doing
fun.
it. We had a good time doing it.
Yeah.
It was
Those
great.
are the memories, right?
Yeah.
Like you could like take two perspectives to it. It's fuck, I got to do this, or all right, we got to do this. Let's have some fun, right?
Well, going back to like the art of the pivot that Jaimee was talking about before, and like that's something that I don't even, did we coin that? Did my brother say that? I don't know.
We
but
coined that, but your brother uses it more than we do.
like
I'm just saying. I'm sorry to interrupt you,
Yeah.
but when you guys make your book, that might just be the title.
that's what we say.
Yeah.
That's totally
We're
what
like,
we
this
say.
should be the book.
Because we like the one thing that I can say as business owners, it has nothing to do with dogs, but like when you're faced with something that is, I don't know, like unexpected, or like this could take you down a road where you're like, oh shit, right? Which happens to every business owner. I think a lot of people will just crumble and fold, and failure is not an option for us ever. So we just pivot. Like, what do we have to do next? And
Yeah.
we just don't quit. And if you don't quit, you can't fail.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
The only way you're gonna fail is if you quit.
Quit, yeah.
That's it. I
Like,
love that.
Well, and that's the thing. Like that's one of the things that we both do so well is that failure's not an option. Now
Yeah.
what? I don't know. Well, with like failure's not an option. And in business, one of the things that I had to get over, and I'm still trying to get over, is she was marinated in entrepreneurial soup. Like it's in her DNA. Her father started a business from scratch, like first generation American, like came on over. She watched this. Her family just does this. She started so many businesses. My dad started a business and went bankrupt. So his narrative after that was, you get a job that offers you insurance, security, salary, and paid vacations, and then that's it.
He's not wrong. We're still waiting for that.
Yeah. But like, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing in business. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. And she's be like, you know what you're doing. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know, because I didn't. I had to make it up as I went.
That's what we all do, though. You just don't quit.
And like, that's the biggest thing when you own a business is you have to get comfortable not knowing what you're doing. Like, you have to get comfortable not knowing what you're doing. It's okay not to know. You can, everything, like Marie Forleo says it, everything is figure outable. But what the way you know that you're an entrepreneur at your core, like, we can create businesses on top of businesses on top of businesses. Like, that's what we do in our spare time.
I feel like that's our talent. We're like, oh, hey, do you not want a business? We'll make one for you.
Yeah. Do you macrame socks? Let's make a business. But like that whole mentality of everything's figure outable. Failure's not an option. That whole, when your feet are to the fire, if you go, this is not going to destroy me, and just move through it, that's what makes you successful, and that's what you build in your strength and your confidence for. And like, that's one of the things when we came together, we recognized in each other. We're like, I see a kindred spirit. And I always say, like, if there's ever proof that like gay is not an option, I would be gay if I could choose to be. Like, this is my soulmate right here. I'm sorry, dear. Like,
That's amazing.
Sorry, honey.
like, sorry, babe. But like, it's true. Like, I don't like this. I have so much respect and awe and like appreciation and blessing for the way my life has progressed to bring her into it. And this is the only person in my life I get all like schmarmy about, really.
That's very nice, and it's very what's the word I'm looking for?
Refreshing.
Yeah, refreshing is the word, but it's not luck. It's like, it's, I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying, but like, it's the fact that you two found each other, right? In like the most serendipity. I don't know, but the fact that you two found each other, you meshed, right? And then you're able to just bounce off of each other. You're not gonna quit. Like, that's the recipe right there, like you just said, right? That's the recipe. Like,
Well, the amount of kickback that we've gotten to just like a business partner.
That's a bad idea.
Yeah, like, and I've had a business partner
from other.
Oh, from everybody.
Everybody's like,
everybody, not just a
business
dog
owners.
trainer.
They're like, do not go into business with a friend.
You know, it's so funny how when people say things like that, it's because they just heard it, right? They very rarely are they regurgitating something that they experienced, right? They heard it from someone else, so they say, "Oh, don't go to business with friends." That's only true if you accept it as true, right? You obviously are proving that wrong. So, like,
well, I think it's also like it's a lot of work that we put into the business and into our relationship. Because like, I'm not gonna like. Neither one of us are going to sit here and be like, it's been glitter and unicorns, and we haven't want to been like, bah.
It's been positive only, right?
It's been positive only. Hey, it's easy. It's easy. I just use a clicker.
Jamie's being mean. Click, treat, click, treat. No, oh, now you're being nice. Thank you.
Totally just clicker.
You did. And you could too. You just click, here's tequila. I'm like, all right, that's great. But like, you know what's crazy is that she did have a business partner that burned the shit out of her, and it ended badly.
Yeah,
and she was still crazy enough to do it again.
Yeah, but when you feed
punishment doesn't work on me.
So then, take us through that. Why didn't you decide? Oh, I just got burned really badly. Fuck going into business with another person again.
Oh, I can't say that it wasn't in the back of my mind. She just broke me down hard. No, I think that we've had a lot of very hard, honest, like, that's why, like, before, and I don't even know if that was like we were recording at that point, but you were like, if anything you don't want to talk about off limits, like, we have talked about everything. And I think that there's just at this point like such a mounting respect that like I look at this girl as like my sister, right? Like, this is family. And you can get pissed off at family, you can have disagreements with family, and that's reality, right? But it's still your family, right?
Yep.
And we just have a really healthy respect to be able to come back to each other and be like, okay, so let's talk about what happened, or let's dig deeper, or let's, again, find out why. Yeah. Why do you feel like that? Because I think for the most, well, this is what I've learned, right? Because I'm the person that's like really closed off, right? Like I feel like you could probably describe me better, but like, I'm like emotions, those are not my thing. Like, No
Excuse me, no
emotions.
thank you.
No,
like,
thank you.
like when we started, Jamie started, not you.
Yeah.
Yes, no.
I
I'm like,
have
sorry. You want me
emo-
to get emotional
Yeah.
about stuff? No.
I have
do not.
emotions about my emotions.
Yes.
Emotion squared.
She carries the emotions for the both of us.
Yeah.
But really what it is that like I have a lot of emotions. They're just like really deep down there. And like it takes
You don't let them come out. That's cool.
Yeah. Like you don't want to see that shit.
My wife and I have a very similar dynamic. I'm not going to say who's who. You can probably tell from the beginning of this when Jamie was talking about her dog dying, and my eyes got watery.
Yeah.
So
I see you.
I see.
Yeah.
So I think, and Jamie has this like this psychological knack to her where she can read people, like she sees you. And so having someone to be like, that's not really what you're feeling, that's covering up for something, right? Or and this is just coincidentally what dogs are like too, right? Like the reaction that you're having is based on something else that you're carrying. Those are the conversations that we go super, super deep into in a safe, productive way. Like it doesn't.
Well, because it's rooted in respect and love.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Like
that's the key point there.
I'm not doing like the questions I ask, and it's for me, it's almost a point of insecurity because I don't do small talk. Like I am terrible at parties. This girl walks into a room, everybody wants to talk to her. She can talk to everybody. She gets everybody laughing.
But then record me, and I'm like,
right?
what?
Meanwhile, I'm standing in the corner like a wallflower, like stirring my drink, looking around, and somebody's like, "Hey, how are you today?" I'm like, "I'm not so great," because this thing triggered me and it reminded me about the time when I was 7 years old and like this spilled over. And they're like, way oversharing. Where's somebody else I can talk to? Or like nobody wants to be trapped in the car with me because within 5 seconds I can ask you a question that'll have you almost in tears, and I'm like, "Oh my God, I was just curious. I am so sorry. I didn't mean to break you." Like I'm an awkward human being. I don't know what to tell. Like I own it at this point. But like that's the thing where it's rooted in mutual respect. And for her, like I'm like a boomerang. The harder you throw me, the harder I come back.
I couldn't throw it hard enough.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know. You're just not getting rid
But
of
do you
me.
remember, and I'm not going to say the business, but do you remember when that one person compared us to those business owners that were fighting so badly?
Oh yeah.
And I was like, don't you dare.
No.
Don't insult us.
I had to go home and be like, oh my God.
I know, I
I
had
had
a
an
moment.
identity crisis. That was awful.
Yeah.
But like, I think that's the thing, is that what makes us unique, not only in what we do, our approach to our clients and our industry, but unique in business is our dynamic. Our
Absolutely.
partnership
Okay.
together.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. So, a little bit. I was trying to get another friend from the gym. We'll talk offline. But I tried to get her to come. I was like, "You're gonna fall in love with them. They're awesome. Like their energy here is just phenomenal." So I found them through a friend from college. Came. Was Christina one of your clients? It was your
She
client
came
first.
to-
No,
us together.
collectively.
Collectively, she came when you guys.
Jamie also made her cry.
Yes.
did.
Yes. She told.
A lot.
She told me that story.
people
So
cry.
what I try to like when I encourage people to come here, it's like, hey, Jamie and Sabrina are awesome. Jamie though is gonna tell you as it is, and just be ready for it. She's not mean, but you're gonna hear stuff you may not want to hear at first, but you need to hear it. You know, like, Tim, chill the fuck out. You're getting uptight for nothing. Like, there's no reason. And it's like, you're fucking right. I'm being a little bitch right now. But like some other people, like,
I
what?
never
What?
actually said
No.
those words.
No, I said it. I said.
I believe you. I feel like you did.
No,
Well,
my
now I
response
would.
was my response to myself was, yeah, you are being a little bitch. But my point is like you're gonna have to hear these hard conversations.
Yeah.
So Christina came to both you guys already at that point
Yes,
together.
we were
Okay.
Canine
Because
Cooperative.
when she told me about you guys, I think you were already Canine Co-op. I didn't even know you guys were separate
Yes.
until recently.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No.
I think Christina may have said something, but it never clicked into my head until you guys. I think one of the podcasts you guys did or something like that. I forget where it came from.
Yeah.
Well, the interesting thing about, like, you know, what she was saying as well, and what you're saying too, is that those are the things that are also stifling people in their relationships with their dogs, because a lot of the stuff that's happening is it's the human. It's the human either not taking the time to step out and take a broader look at like what is going on and how their behavior is influencing what's happening, or they take it on super hard
Oh,
and they're
yeah.
like, oh my God, like, like I can't do any, like the levels of anxiety that are around it and how emotionally drawn animals can be, right? Like they feed off of the energy. And so when you're putting out this energy, it's like, I can't tell you how many times you meet very, very anxious people with very, very anxious dogs. Or
Maverick's not anxious, right?
so it's all these things. And like, that's why like having this lens that like Jaimee has on this stuff is like, the conversations are not easy.
Yeah.
But they need to be had.
It's a therapy session.
It's a therapy session through and through. And then I just show up and I'm like, would anyone like an hors d'oeuvre or a cocktail?
But it's a therapy session with the filter of dog training, right? It's like, we're not here to talk about your childhood trauma. We're here to get you to get in a good position. Well, but indirectly though, it's what are we doing to get this dog and your relationship to where it needs to be?
Right.
And that may be involving what shit you went through to work through that to get to where you need for the dog.
Well, what I say all the time is that there's very few people that I meet that go and get a dog and they go, I am getting a dog because of what I can do for this dog. It's always, I'm getting a dog because what can the dog do for me, right? Like they have like just visions of them doing all these things without taking any consideration of 1, breed, 2, personality, 3, like
lifestyle,
where do you live? Like, you know what I mean? Or definition of like, my favorite is always like your definition of active, right? Like what people think is active. And then the dog that they get to mirror that, and it's like that's like going to a.
I feel like you're calling me out right now.
No. You go mountain biking with your Australian Shepherd. Yeah. You're good.
That's fair.
I know,
fair.
But
okay. I'm saying active is not going to a coffee house.
Yeah,
that's not active
on the weekend.
No.
On the weekend.
But it's still funny because May, she's a mini Aussie. If I go once a week with her mountain biking, that's a lot for me. That's nothing for her.
Yeah, well,
every day.
I don't think that there's anything that scratches the surface.
Yeah. So she was here when we were on vacation in Italy, and it was 2 weeks, right? And I believe she was the one that would tire all the other dogs out.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And was still not tired.
But she's great because you can toss her into anything.
Yeah, she does. Yeah.
Like she's just back. Like, she's like, whatever. So she's out every time because we'll take dogs out on rotation. And on this property, we have 4 acres that are fenced in and we have like hiking trails in there. So we'll take dogs out in like groups that are like socially compatible. And so May is one of those dogs that you can toss in like, oh, do you want to kill other dogs? All right, May. Are you like happy-go-lucky puppies? All right, May. Are you like she can just go in with whoever and like handle it. So she's constantly out and she's like,
never ending
fuel
tank. Hey, let's
do some more.
Yeah.
Never ending.
Yeah.
Never ending. So my point is, I'm active, but it's like lazy active is what I call it. Lazy active. So like I take her out like once. I'm trying to go more than once, but so it's never enough with her.
Do you know it's funny you spoke about the energy, right? I don't know shit about fuck when it comes to dogs. I've never had a pet, right? But
we have a dog here that needs a home. Maybe you should start.
Yeah, right. Good selling. If there's one thing I have noticed is when a dog's barking at me, like doesn't know me, I don't know. It could be happy, it could be mad. I have no idea. But when I just remain really calm and feel really calm, the dog just shuts up. And I'm like, all right, we have a connection. So it's not only just humans with energy. There's a lot with dogs and humans with energy.
Yeah.
They feel it. It's know that when the story you told with the autistic man.
Yeah.
Like that dog, that definitely knew what was going on, and that's fucking incredible. And it's like, if only dogs can talk, right? They would be able to.
But they do.
So like this is our thing, right? Like this is our thing. Dogs do talk. We just have forgot. So this is where I've put these connections together, right? And dogs are mostly nonverbal communicators. So it's all through body language. So dogs, the lens in which they read or interpret language is through micro movements. And if you've done any kind of research on micro expressions about what the meaning behind your micro expressions communicate. So if you lie, what your eyebrows do, your pupils dilate, when the turn of your mouth, when you say certain things, when you look to the left versus to the right, all of these kind of things. They're tells.
All right.
In your physical communication. So here's the interesting thing about
Don't play
energy.
poker with Jaimee. Okay,
Right.
good.
Yeah.
So here's the interesting thing about energetic shifts in people, right? And you can tell this with people who have experienced an abusive relationship, childhood trauma, or anything like that, is that people can feel an energy shift in the room. It's energy is transferable between people and other beings, but what we as humans have become distinctly desensitized to or unaware of in our own body is how our emotional mental state shifts our physical state of being. So in things like, in your case with Maverick, you're anxious and worried. You are unaware of how much tension or rigidity you're holding in your body, which when you're tied to a being with rope, channels down into that and then affects how the dog feels because they feel that physical tension. So when a dog is looking at you and sending you a message, because dogs speak through their body, we have just, as a human culture, have just learned to ignore that or haven't learned to read it at all. Dogs are speaking to humans and the environment around them all the time. We just can't listen. We don't know how to listen with our eyes. So what happens is when our bodies shift and move based on our mental emotional state, we're sending signals to other people. Psychologically within a room, we pick up on those signals, right? We can feel when somebody stop paying attention. Why? Because their physical state. They could be staring right at you, but you notice they're fidgeting with their pocket. They're checking their phone. They're looking at dials. Their pupils are dilated off. When something's peaked, right? Like when she was talking, it was an active listening. I was looking at her, but my body was back away from the microphone. Now that I'm lit up about something, how has my body shifted? I'm still sitting in the same position, but my shoulders are more open. I'm leaning forward to the microphone. I'm making more direct eye contact. My energy has increased and I'm sending that towards you, but where? In my physical state. So you can learn how people, like dogs, are reading that within you because that's their organic language. So you could be saying yes to a dog, but no with your body. You could be saying no to a dog, but yes with your body. By you becoming super calm, you're taking all of that body language and shifting it. So your body is communicating, I'm chill, I'm not a threat, I'm not going to bother you. So the dog stops barking because your energetic state is affecting your physical state. Same thing why in jiu-jitsu, it's a psychological game. You show up to the mat in a certain headspace with energy based on how you shift your body. The persona, this is where alter egos come in. Well, if you create an alter ego for a performance base, you can get up to the mat. You can be the most docile, passive person off of that. But once you shift into that energetic state, your body shifts. You're communicating intensity, command, and aggression. But that's not organically who you are off the mat. That's an energetic shift that's translated to other people, not just through just molecules in the air, but how you physically hold yourself in command space and that presence. It's embodied in your physical state. This is how dogs communicate to each other and to us all the time. The main thing we teach people is body language. Learn how to read what your dog is saying. Learn how to read what you are saying to your dog. And you can shift your relationship dramatically without any traditional obedience training across the board.
You just said a lot of great things there, like that, and I don't really understand it from a dog perspective, but from a human perspective, everything you contextualize, I guess is the word, or you brought to light all your body language here that obviously subconsciously we were all picking up on, but I didn't consciously pick it up until you told me it, right? You were forward as opposed to being back and relaxed. And then I was thinking about, like, I was engaged listening, but I was thinking about all the times, like, if you're at a bar, if someone's positioned toward you, what are they doing with with their eyes? Are they flicking your hair? And it's just like, oh shit, there's so many cues that you can really pick up on.
Oh, absolutely.
Now with a dog, what I was thinking is something that Timmy taught me with May, is when May likes to come up, right? Like, or will jump, right?
Unfortunately.
Well, no, but she's gotten a lot better.
She's 2 in a week.
Yeah.
2 weeks.
So what you told me though is there will be people who don't know that they're inviting her to jump just by being like, May, come, and then May jumps, and then she's like, she's responding. Am I understanding that correctly? Like, it's incredible shit.
So they could be saying no off or no down because the dog's jumping on them, but their body language is telling the dog to jump.
To come up, yeah.
So if you think of dog, do you know what a play bow is?
No.
It's when the dog's
down dog.
forelegs, it's like a downward.
Dog.
Yeah.
Okay.
So their ass is up, their tail is up, the front of the dog is down. What do humans do when they bend over to greet a dog?
It's that basically that
play bow.
position.
It's a play bow, right?
Oh,
so you're
shit.
inviting the dog to come over and get energetically excited. And what do dogs do when they play?
They jump.
They jump on each other.
Yeah.
So you're by bending over in that fashion and sending out that energy signal with your body language, you're inviting the dog to jump on you.
No shit.
Yeah.
Yo,
And
that's awesome.
The other aspect too is like you hear a lot of times like when dogs do something, especially in in a way that is offensive, what you'll hear a lot of people say is it happened out of nowhere, right? Because
The dog was fine.
the dog was fine, and little things like that, like dogs are not verbal, right? We are. So we're always listening to the sound. We're listening to the growl, to the bark, to the physical look of the snap. And what we do with people as well is listen to when the dog is quiet, because your dog is not fine. Everyone just thinks if a dog is not bothering them or annoying them or isn't doing something that is outwardly loud or vocal or something that's audible that people can hear, because that's how we communicate, they go, oh my God, that happened out of nowhere. But there's all these little tells in the opposite extreme where like you go up to a dog and a dog turns its head away from you. That's like, please go away. That's their like first ask.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll like give you a side eye, right? You see the whites of her eye. Their pupils dilate. They stop breathing. They get quiet. They get small. They're like, please leave me alone. But everyone's like, he's fine.
Because he's quiet.
Because he's quiet. And then all of a sudden, the dog will get up and snap at you because that gets you to move out of their space, which is what they're looking for. This whole time, they're like, please leave me alone. You're making me uncomfortable. Please leave me alone.
And that right there, the air snapping, that's a warning.
That's a warning.
It's telling, it's saying, please leave me alone. That's what it's saying.
Yeah. So all of those things on, like, you can have dogs that are like outwardly friendly and doing things like jumping up and people not realizing like how they're actually inviting that in, or you can have dogs that are trying to get small and move out of space and just be like, this is not an interaction that I'm comfortable with, and people don't read that because it's not coming out in a way that's stereotypical aggression, which is showing teeth, growling, barking. But those are all the small little asks before the offensive behavior happens.
Jeez. And then think about just people in general who maybe go to their friend's house, right? That has a dog, and they just want to play. Oh my God. And a lot of times when I do see a dog, if they do turn the head, I didn't know what the fuck it was doing, but I was like, oh, probably this dog doesn't like me. I don't know. But like, you know, it now makes sense, right? Like they're just being like, "Yo, dude, I had a bad day. Get the fuck away from me." Like,
Totally.
Like, no, thank you. Yeah.
But that's what we teach people. And actually, one of the things that we founded was something called the Mellow Method, and it's how we go through every case that we work with, and it's
It's an acronym.
Acronym, thank you. I'm like, Enneagram? Why do I always want to go the Enneagram?
Oh, that's
a whole
another
nother
conversation.
An acronym for how we go through every case. And so M stands for medical, which is mindset or physical, mental, physical. E is emotions. So what is the emotions that are happening behind the behavior? L, body language first, learning how to read that. The other L is lifestyle. What are we doing that's actually like meeting your dog in the space that they were bred to be in? And then finally, O is obedience. So obedience is always the last thing that we focus on with everybody. Like it's not going to solve anybody's behaviors. And what I always find interesting, and what I was also caught up in as like a young trainer, is you got a problem, you go to an obedience class. That's what you do. Shit's not going to help you.
I did.
That's what we all did.
And my dog died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you have to understand, like, first of all, if your dog has some sort of overall mindset issue, like where they spend most of their day in a state of anxiety, if they spend most of their day in a fearful state, if they, like, any of this kind of like constant brain activity that causes hormonal changes in your body, that's going to be present. Like anytime a dog has a fearful moment, it's not a dog, any being, right? You get a dump of hormones, primarily cortisol. Cortisol is the hormone that like creates that like self-preservation. You got to go into fight or flight. And if you are going through that throughout the day, it's this like wave of like up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, and it makes you really edgy. So if a dog is existing like that in its everyday life, the reactions that they're going to have are not going to be very rational. Right? Like, it's like somebody, like, you come home after having a bad day and like someone didn't put the plate in the sink and like you freak out on them, right? It's not that. It's just like, dude, I can't take this anymore, right?
Yeah.
Like your nerve endings are shot. Or if they have an actual physical issue, like they're uncomfortable in their own body because they are in pain. Or like we had a dog here with like a full body yeast infection, and this poor thing,
God.
it was
That's brutal.
We'll tell you that
This is a
story
whole-
because
yeah.
this guy embodies the whole thing through. So we're looking at him, we're like, this guy has like a.
Was this the most recent
This
group that came
was
through?
Archie,
Archie.
the blue pit bull. He was just here last month.
Okay.
He's actually here right now for boarding.
Yeah.
Hey, how's it going?
And he, oh my God, he's just, like, he
Yeah.
made me cry when I saw him. So we're like, okay, this dog is physically uncomfortable. This dog is, how old is he? 3-ish, 4-ish?
No.
8?
Yeah.
No, not 8.
He's like 7. Yeah. 7,
What?
8, yeah.
All right, I don't know what I'm talking about. He's older. He's lived the majority of his life in this state. Has never played. Has never played. Is terrified. You couldn't take him out on a leash without him trying to.
Was this the one that you just posted on Instagram with the owners that you just pet?
No, that's. Oh, we can talk to you about that too.
That was so beautiful.
Yes, I
I'm
know.
sorry.
I just brought him home. That's where I was before I came
That was
back
awesome.
here. Yeah, no,
Anyway,
that was
so
amazing.
that's a different dog, yeah.
But this guy, like so again, like I'm physically uncomfortable in my body, so I am not going to be the best version of myself because I'm constantly ouchy, right? So that's his day to day, and then emotionally, that stunted him because he's fearful of everything. Right? Because he's edgy. He goes outside, he's having irrational responses to things. He's constantly seeking some sort of safety. He like tries to escape. Like you bring him out somewhere that he's like, this is not my normal. And even in his normal, even in his house, like he just was constantly looking for some sort of like cover, right? Body language wise, like the owners didn't know what they were looking at. We had to educate them on that. Lifestyle-wise, he wasn't really living any lifestyle because he was terrified to go anywhere. And then obedience-wise, honestly, who cares? Because none of this has to do with obedience. So we took him in. We worked with the people. We changed his diet. We had a full medical workup. All of that stuff, like we wouldn't have gotten to the point that we were at with him at this point now without doing all of that. If we would have just focused on obedience, this dog would not have changed. Mm-hmm. And now he is outgoing, comfortable. I mean, he wouldn't even walk across slick floors. Like that's how like just emotionally and
beautiful.
Mentally
That's awesome though.
frantic he was. Anything that happened, that caused the littlest amount of discomfort would be a huge deal because that's how frazzled his nerve endings were.
Oh, that's a poor guy.
So how long was the transition from him being who he was to where he's at now?
4 months, I think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like,
our program is 6 months.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like, I think it was like somewhere within
4 months.
4 months.
But damn, 4 months as opposed to 7-8 years.
No, 100%.
So for the background on the people that don't know, the program is usually it's 6 months overall. It's 3 weeks of board and train, but you have sessions with the owners, and you kind of give us, I'll call it crash course is what we want to call it.
Yeah.
Homework, foundational stuff that you start working as the owners with the dog. And that's the first 3 months leading into the board. So the boarding. So at the boarding is when like the
That's when the
transition.
obedience happens.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
when we do e-collar training and start to give some meaning to words so we can communicate. But the way that we use obedience is also much different than the way other trainers do. We use it literally as a form of communication to help dogs, like if they're struggling. Like our thing is not about plastering dogs to obedience commands so they don't do bad things, right? So there's something called the place command, which is that cot over there.
You've heard me say that a bunch of times.
right?
May place.
Yeah,
Maverick place.
Exactly.
Always.
But he uses it when the dogs are getting overwhelmed, are being nudges, or it's not like those dogs are plastered to the cot 24/7, which is what a lot of people do. They're like, don't let your dog move because then your dog can't do bad behavior. And we're like, teach your dog how to have some sense of autonomy in their environment by teaching them what to do. And when you see them having a struggle, if you see them having an issue, if you whatever that may look like, hey, why don't you come over here and do this instead? That's how we use it. So starting to teach dogs how to actually, because everyone just wants a dog that you can live with.
Yeah, live life with.
Not like have to micromanage.
Yeah.
So on that exact note is like, sometimes the dogs like to go crazy at the squirrels in the
Right.
backyard, and Maverick will be laying on the sofa not giving a crap, and May's out there.
Fucking May.
She's just and I'm like on the toilet, and I'm like, May, come. Okay, and then I put her in the place on the shower mat, and then just out of habit, because I don't have the remote or anything on me, so I have no way to, like, the problem is if you tell her a command, you need to be able to enforce it, otherwise you're just hot air, right? So I'm in the bathroom, I don't have the remote, I don't have her on a collar or a leash, so I close the bathroom door. She trained her, like, I guess I trained her that she started closing the door for me. She doesn't always do it. She did it a couple times, so it was just funny. But now
Let me help you with that tip.
But now she knows she goes there, and she, like, you can see her still being anxious, and like she's starting now. When she's getting in that headspace, she goes and finds the mat to just go chill. I'm like, yes, good decision, because she's deciding for herself now. Oh, this is what I've been doing in the past. Okay, cool. I'm gonna go hang out.
When I feel like this, I do this to make it stop. We start to we personally train dogs to react to their own emotions. Dogs' behavior only exists because it's trying to resolve an emotion. That's why any of us do anything, right? Like, it's a reaction to something. That's what makes you behave. That's what we do. When you feel this way, do this instead. Because before, you would be jumping on people in the most
Egregious.
well, no, I mean, jumping on people, I mean, in like the most innocuous way, right? Like, fine, great,
Yeah,
jumping, what's the
yeah.
worst that's going to happen? But in the most egregious way, you're biting people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you feel threatened, when you feel nervous, when you feel whatever, come over here and move away from that thing that's triggering you.
It's behavior replacement therapy.
Yeah.
Right? So if the dog learns to solve their problem through X and you don't like X, you then start being able to recognize the emotional state the dog is in ahead of time so that you can repattern them to Y. It's why AA works. Right? It's like if you're stressed, you recognize your emotion, you deep dive into this, you understand why you're feeling this way. Don't reach for the whiskey, go do yoga.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, pick something else. And then repatterning, you can, through neuroplasticity and repatterning that cognitive function, you can repattern the way the dogs respond to instinctual emotions. And this is where I get all nerdy, because the crossover with human psychology and understanding oneself is equally equivalent to dogs. You can learn how to repattern anything in your life through behavior replacement therapy and training. So the things that we do when we talk to clients and coach them, it's recognizing the emotion within them that's triggering their physical state, which is affecting their dog. We're doing the same thing for their dog. So what we do in our sessions, in our work with owners and their dogs, is we're teaching humans to speak canine, and we're speaking canine to speak human. But because the canine doesn't have the cognitive ability to choose to learn another language, we have to speak the dog's natural language first in order to teach them. It's like if you wanted to learn Italian for the next time you go back to Italy, right?
He was trying to get me.
Right?
He speaks fluent Italian.
You speak fluent Italian, right? But that's beautiful, because what you already speak the language you're trying to teach. If you didn't know how to speak Italian, and you only knew how to speak English, you have to learn how to speak Italian in order to teach somebody else how to speak Italian.
Yep.
So I have to learn to speak your language if I'm going to communicate with you to teach you how to speak a secondary language. But I have to be fluent in that language first. So we have to teach people how to speak dog in order for us to speak the dog, to teach the dog how to speak human. Once you have a form of communication between interspecies or two different language barriers, you can then communicate what you need them to do instead, but fueling that emotional state. It's the same with humans. Neuroplasticity, cognitive repatterning, all of that kind of stuff, especially when you talk about cortisol dumps. The interesting thing, there was a study done, they were talking about fighting couples, right, in relationship work. When cortisol and adrenaline meet and spike, when you have that dump, your IQ actually goes down. So they caused induced stress, and then IQ tested those people. So
That's hilarious.
That sounds like a fun study, right?
Right?
Is that
Are
the
they
reason
all
why?
at the bottom of our pond right now?
No, is that the reason why sometimes when you're like in a heated argument, you'll say something, you're like, that sounded really dumb. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
it
seriously,
could be.
yeah.
You're like, I don't know, your mom.
Yeah, you're like, what? You're like,
And you're like,
IQ
what?
just went.
Because
Yo, mama.
because of the hormones in your body, they lower your executive function, your reasoning part of your brain. It lowers down because you become more and more in a survival state. So you become more and more your primal self, which is fight or flight. It's just, I need to do whatever I need to do to attack you hard enough to get you to come off of me so I can get out of here. So your IQ goes down. So you stop rationalizing what you're doing and you just start reacting.
You're going into like the lizard brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to
And
listen.
that's where dogs stop. And to what you had said earlier, like the whole societal thing, the way that people look at dogs, they infantilize them, they anthropomorphize them, they add
They tie their identity.
whole identity to these beings. And these guys are just they're lizard, like, listen, we love them. They're smart, but their reactions come from a very lizard brain mentality
Yeah.
where they don't have thoughts about thoughts. They have reactions to their emotions, and then that's it.
Yep. No. Honestly, have you guys read the book Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Dispenza, Dr. Joe Dispenza?
No,
No, but
but
it's
I
going
love
on the
his work.
list.
Oh yeah, no, all of his books are great, and what you were talking about with the neuroplasticity, and then what you're talking about with the lizard brain as opposed to like the lobes. It's exactly what he talks about. Like we as humans have that we developed all the. I forgot what he says. I think it's like femoral. I forgot, but
Yep.
the part of the brain that's not the amphibian part of the brain allows
The
us
frontal
to do.
cortex.
Yes, the cortex. Yep, thank you. That allows us to do what we're doing right now, as opposed to just barking and all the shit that they do, right?
Yeah.
But that's really interesting how you guys are literally learning to speak animal.
Yeah.
And animals are learning to speak human. So now I get what you're saying now in the beginning, where you can speak to a dog.
Yeah, you
like,
can.
when you first said that, I was like, oh, I'm about to learn something. I'm about to fucking learn something, because I'm like, how the fuck do you speak dog? Now I understand it. So thank you.
Yeah. So that's basically what we do. We break it down. But like we also do it for our clients. So when they come in a very emotional state, I don't understand why my dog.
Watch out.
Right?
Watch out.
Like they come in and they're in a highly emotional state.
Yes.
What we have to do, we have to adjust the trajectory of our communication approach to get them out of that lizard brain, that reactive survival mode stuff, so they can actually internalize the information we're giving them and make changes physically within their body. So it's like we're human training dogs and we're dog training humans.
Well, and PTSD is a real thing with what a lot of people have experienced, right? Like when you're dealing with dogs, when you're dealing with people that have been in dog fights, when you're dealing with people that have been bitten multiple times,
Which we both have.
by their, but
Those
even
are some wild stories too.
but by their own dogs, like you're living with somebody, like it's an abusive relationship essentially, right? And so you have to unpack a lot of things. And what I think is interesting is that just between me and Jaimee, like where our drive is the same. We want people to live harmoniously with their dogs. We want them to have not just an obedient dog. We want you to have a lifestyle and a relationship with this being, with this species. Like how fucking cool is it that you can live with another
predator.
species, a predator
Yeah.
at that, right? Like how fucking cool is that?
Not only live with them, depending on the dog, but most dogs, you can snuggle with them.
You can sleep in bed with them. I have worked with wolves, and it is
Excuse me?
yes.
Yeah.
I've worked with a lot of different species, but wolves like top of my list, right? I've also worked with bison, which is really
Wait, what?
insane. Yes,
Holy
I've trained
fuck.
bison.
So tell us
Well,
about the
there's
wolves
that.
and bison.
But the
please.
it was in Indiana. Indiana? Is that where the raceway is?
The Indianapolis?
Indianapolis.
Yeah,
Okay. So there's a place called Wolf Park in Indiana, and so I was one of a group of people that was selected to go there to like help train. This like a sanctuary, so they like take in animals and whatever. They have like a nonprofit there. It's very cool. It's very cool. But we were allowed to go in with these animals, and this is the thing that is so amazing because like if you understand how, like really, if you understand how to communicate with anything, you can have a relationship, right? And then you just have to understand like the boundaries of respect, like.
And that right there is the key, because
Yes.
you can communicate, but if you don't understand the boundary of respect, then
Yeah, and dogs too, like they all operate out of a different need, right? And so you have to understand what that need is in order to build that bridge.
Well, there, in my opinion, there's nothing more disrespectful than not honoring what some being actually is. Right? And this is you see this all the time in human relationships. Women expect men to be women, and men expect women to think like men. That's where all relationship issues stem from, right? When we expect our dogs to respond or think or emote like humans, it's extremely disrespectful. We're not honoring who they are and what they are as they are. You have to honor who someone is, what they are, for who they are, and communicate to them within that organic space. So the fact that you picked out respect is important, because men honor respect more than they honor
It's very
love.
typical for men. It's the male
Women
language,
honor
right?
love more than respect. And speaking in dog training, a lot of issues that men have with their dog is they don't feel like their dog respects them. A lot of issues women have with their dog is they don't feel their dog loves them. So their motivation to communicate with their dog stems from, I want love from this being, so I do or don't want to do certain things because I want this dog to love me. I do or don't want to do certain things because I want this dog to respect me.
Or what their dog is doing is some sort of like reflection on, like they feel almost like the dog is doing things to them to harm them.
This dog is intentionally
Holy
being disrespectful
shit. Yes.
or unloving to me.
And you hear that a lot.
I feel like some dogs might.
Well, you know what? Listen,
I was gonna say,
never say never.
Aren't huskies known for doing that?
Huskies are cats in dog
Dog
clothes.
suits.
I don't know what that
Okay,
is.
that I like that. Yeah, I never put it together like that, but that's exactly it.
Husky are cats and dog suits.
Yeah,
you said?
totally.
That's awesome. They're very
just-
mischief.
They are something else. They're something else altogether.
Yeah.
But it also is interesting when you look at a lot of male trainers.
Oh,
They also come from a very
alpha
like
ones?
I
gotta be the alpha of the
right.
band.
Like you got to make the dog right, and then you look at the women that are like, you have to like love the
be
dog
friends,
like
and,
yeah,
like, make them
so
feel
like
good.
even the genders that embody, I'm not gonna say all, but
Generally
typically,
speaking,
if
yeah.
you look at some of the big names in the industry, that's what they embody. The men are all like, and the women are all like, like, that's what it is.
That's so interesting.
It is.
That's so fucking interesting that plays a huge part, because it's so funny. Men want to be respected by the dog. Women want to be loved by the dog. That is just, I don't know. When you guys said that, I was like, fuck, that's so true.
Oh, well,
Like,
and then
it's so
forget about
fucking
it when
true.
they think like they're passed on fathers and the dog
Oh,
that's
yeah,
in
well,
front
there's
of
that.
them, and
Yeah.
then like this one reincarnated from like it is bananas. Like
Yeah.
it really is.
Where does the boundary of respect differ when you were going with wild animals as opposed to domesticated animals?
Nowhere.
Nowhere. So are is it safe to say that if you understand the boundary of respect, you can feel as safe around a wolf as opposed to any type of dog?
100%.
Okay,
Yeah.
shit, damn. That because that's not how me not being a trainer of any no pets. I'm gonna always assume, just based off of societal beliefs, that if I'm in the room with a wolf, right, I'm fucked. But if I'm in a room with a pit bull, I'm probably safer than when I'm in the room with a wolf.
not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
When was the last
I'll
fad?
tell you something very interesting that happened to me today, right? Because when I went and dropped off Austin, so Austin was a dog that came here, and I brought him back home so I could do work with his owners at home, and they have a goose.
Oh, geese are bad.
I don't know shit about
Yeah.
geese. I don't.
I just know they attack people.
Yeah.
They do. And so we're walking around, and I'm just like, okay, like, hey man, like, this is your goose. I'm sure you're just gonna tell me when like the goose is like, get away from the goose, because he's not having it anymore. But so as we're walking and talking, and Bruce the goose is is walking around.
Oh God.
This guy's hilarious. He like comes right up to the door. He's like, hey guys. He like pecks the door. He's like, come on out. It's very, very funny. They like live on a farm. It's very cool. But anyway, so we go out and we're walking with Austin, and then we come back, and then all of a sudden Austin and the goose have like a standoff. And I'm like, I don't know shit about geese, but that body language definitely looks a little offensive, and he's trying to move Austin out of space. And like, I think the thing is that when you start to just look at things in energy and a lens that isn't a human narrative, like you can get a feel of what is this animal trying to communicate to me, right? And the problem, most of the problems that happen with animals is that gets miscommunicated, and then the human unintentionally crosses a line right? Like, because they square off with their body, or they do something where the dog or the animal takes it as conflict, and then they need to push you out of space, and then that's when they get aggressive. But if you know how to understand what they're saying and then adjust your body language to that, to be like, yo, dude, I'm not like here to fight you, that makes a whole different conversation.
Well, you guys probably do this all the time. It's an interesting. Here's another body language interesting study about men specifically. When you walk into a crowded room, if you see a friend across from the room, you'll acknowledge them by nodding up.
The nod
Right.
up versus the nod
Yeah,
down.
what's up? Yeah.
Right? This, you're communicating companionship, friendship, and trust because you're exposing your throat. If you were to stare at somebody that you thought was a threat and you were to acknowledge them, you nod down.
Yeah, it's so
Self-protective.
true. Yeah, always
And
coming tonight.
it's like this, and it's almost a challenge. You also do this when you start to have a dump of testosterone and aggression. You move your body and square your shoulder points.
Which
So-
is conflict.
Yeah.
And
The
so what
animals.
you're doing is you're taking up more room and you're claiming space. It's a very dominant body posturing. That's why you can tell when you greet certain men, they rile you because of how they're standing and standing off to you based on their body. So the next time you get like that guy's a douchebag, look at how he's approaching you, and be like, he's communicating aggression. He's taking space. He's claiming space. Men claim space all the time. This is why most dogs have a problem with men, not women. Women are designed to yield to space. So when women they want to invite something or they want to avoid something, we shy away. That's why if you ever picked up a chick in a bar, you know you're good to go. When you move in to claim space, make direct eye contact, and she smiles at you and yields. You go, I can hit on that. Because it's body language.
If only you told me this 10 years ago.
Right? Like, but that's
Yeah.
that's how it rolls. And that's where human beings have forgotten that they are animals and their body moves with intent.
It's funny you're saying that with the men too, because one of the dogs you've been working with, our friend Chloe, she bit my leg on the same day Sam got bit in the wrist by one of the dogs she walked. It was really funny. We were dog sitting them, and no issues with females. It seems to be typically males. I don't know what it is now, but from my experience with them, but she bit me. Love Sam. So I was just walking down the sidewalk. I wasn't even by. I was obviously close enough that she bit me, but I wasn't like walking towards her or anything. So I don't know what it was, but clearly it was something I did.
Well, you hear that a lot though too. Like everyone, like you get a dog from the shelter, and they're like, "He must have been abused by a man," right? Like you hear that so often, and it's like,
What makes sense, though?
well, the amount of dogs that have actually experienced physical abuse is fortunately small, right? In the grand scheme of things, and a lot of it has to do with how we naturally carry our bodies and how they respond to it, right? And now, do you have a dog that's more anxious or fearful or more reserved? Or do you have a dog that's more confident and outgoing and stuff like that? So all of
I got
that,
both.
right? No, you totally do. You have two ends of the same coin. But like that's the thing. Like when you bring that energy to a different, and that's like for us, it's just natural, right? Because this is our second language. But when you bring that energy to different personalities, it can seem very it can seem like it doesn't make sense. Like, why does this dog do it, but that dog doesn't? But it really has to do with how does that dog feel? And then it's very few times that you actually hear a dog is afraid of women. And it goes to the point of how we carry ourselves if we feel threatened, right? Or if we see somebody else or something else getting small, we'll get small with them. Or if we feel threatened, we'll get small. So it diffuses stuff automatically versus with men, when you guys feel threatened, you generally square off, right? Like you generally just
Well,
like what
men
Jaimee
are-
was saying, like taking up more space.
Men
and
are
then,
also moved towards us.
yeah.
So when you see something that you care about getting small and insecure,
You'll move
confident
towards it.
Move towards.
Yeah.
But that's increasing more pressure on the thing that's trying to get away from you. So then the dog perceives it as a threat. It's why when women cry, men get uncomfortable. Right? Like that. It's how you're genetically designed to be. It's how we're genetically designed to be. This isn't like a diss on anybody who doesn't feel any sort of way or whatever. It's just like you guys have more testosterone than we do. It's how your brain is wired. It's also like talking about prefrontal cortex. In men, it's not fully formed until close to 30.
Yeah.
That's why you can do stupid shit and people go, why do you do that? You're like, I don't know. Right? Like that's why
I'm a dumb dude.
right? Like, because your prefrontal cortex isn't fully formed yet. That's genetically designed that way because you need to be more reactionary and more aggressive in an organic state to be able to protect like primal things and blah, 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 blah. This is all the shit you don't think you need to know when you want to become a dog trainer.
Yeah. This is
honestly the things that I don't think most dog trainers actually
This is
No.
what
delve
most
into.
human people don't delve into the why about themselves. But
Yeah,
like,
that's
if
why.
I'm going to help somebody, I need to get you past what your belief systems, and I have to change your belief systems about your life, your situation, your life experience, what your dog is to you. I have to change that narrative. The way I change that narrative is understanding how you think and slowly interjecting my narrative to a place where you will get to accept that as your own belief system. It's a lot of psychological dance you have to do.
And that's the same thing we do with dogs.
Right. It's the same thing.
That's
The reprogram.
But it's a lot easier with the dogs.
Yeah.
A lot easier. Because they don't have thoughts about thoughts.
Yeah.
We have thoughts about thoughts. So we can go into a deep dive of like why we think this way. And we constantly tell people, don't overthink this. Stop overthinking this. Just do X, Y, Z. That's it. If you just do that, the dog will respond because we have taken the dog and trained him to respond to that. And that's it.
That's fucking crazy. Damn. You know, I'm thinking of
I almost want to be like, what did you think when you walked in?
Yeah.
no, this is good. No, I knew I was going to learn a lot with, like I said, I don't know anything about dogs, right? With the exception of the energy. That from my experience, that's all I can tell. This is actually pretty much what I expected. I did not know actually though that it was that psychologically deep. And I, like you guys, I geek out on the brain. I geek out on the psychology behind things. I fucking love it. So I didn't know that there was a lot in common with that. The funny thing was, too, talking about like the goose, or you brought up the geese. I was leaving the gym the other day, and I always take the same path back to my car. And I don't know what, I don't even remember there being geese by this
I was like,
fucking
there was a
gym.
goose.
There was 2 geese, and they were just chilling. I'm like, all right, I know I usually cut across the grass, but I don't think I should do that. So I was like, there's a pathway. And then right when I started walking to the pathway, the one dude was like looking back at me and running away. I was like, okay, if I continue on this pathway, he's going to fucking charge me. So I was like, I don't want to be like, I don't want to square off with a goose, and I don't want to run from a goose. Let me just go on the other side. And I just went away. I was trying to be like, yo, bro, I just need to get to the
no
fucking
worries.
car.
I don't want any problems.
Close your shoulders off. Don't open it up.
Yeah.
But you know what's also another
Hey, don't
cool-
flap towards
Yeah.
them.
yeah, like, what's up,
Don't
bro?
be a peacock.
Do you know what's interesting too? My uncle, so actually both like cousins on both sides grew up with dogs, and they love dogs, right? Right now, the pit bulls that my one uncle and cousins have, right? They're pit bull boxers, are like the fucking chillest dogs in the world. Like my uncle does a really good job training them, right? Like raising them up, really chill. But then I remember way back about a decade ago, he had 2 pit bull rescues off the streets of Newark, okay, that were abused.
They were probably fighting dogs.
Yo, those dogs were good around him because he brought them in. As much as they never bit me or never was too aggressive, I never wanted to be around them without him being there. Because I was like, this motherfucker, and not because it's a pit bull, but because it was probably abused. It had to have been.
Well, so there's something I say about the Newark dogs, right?
Yeah.
Because we go to Newark and like been there, we've pulled dogs, like we're very familiar with that area. And I'm always like, most of them aren't abused, they're just neglected, right?
Okay.
And most of the dogs that I've ever seen come from Newark, like they're pretty solid. Because I'm like, I feel like they've been like, I've seen some shit, man.
Yeah.
Like,
They're like, I'm not
Like,
fucking
they're
around.
smoking a cigarette, like, whatever,
let me,
dude.
Let me
Leave me
tell
alone.
you, back in 1984, like
Yeah, right.
a lot of the ones that I have worked with or met or pulled, like they're good dogs, and they're neglected. But here's the thing about pit bulls. I own a pit bull. She's owned pit bulls. Like, I love them. They're great dogs. But we have to also be like, what were these dogs bred to do? And respect that, because they were bred to kill shit.
Okay.
Weren't they bred for wild boar hunting?
they were bred
They're
to
a hodgepodge
basically,
of a lot of stuff,
Yeah.
but
they were bred to go into a pit and take down animals.
Yeah.
right. That's where the term comes from.
Pit
Yeah, I
bull.
was gonna say big
Yep.
brain moment here. Is that
Yes.
were they trained to take down bulls?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh shit.
So like that's
Yo,
why
badass.
so like
They're-
they grab the animal and they bring it to the ground and hold
Yeah.
it still until it's ready to be slaughtered.
Is that why their fucking jaws don't
don't
unlatch?
yeah.
Right.
It's not that they don't unlatch. It's just that the
Or it
bite
takes a lot.
pressure force
Yeah.
is just it's so
They don't wanna
strong.
release.
They don't want to. Yeah.
And it's also
Yeah.
why they can
Learning.
shut off the pain sensors
Yes.
of their brain.
No
so like
shit.
yeah,
So,
so, like,
my dog, when I say my dog tried to kill another dog, he would have killed that dog. I had to choke him off of that dog.
God.
yeah, I was
And then he
Damn.
passed out for like a hot second, came to, went back for the dog again.
We know some people like that who don't tap in jujitsu.
Yeah.
And they'll
Yes,
fucking ask
totally. And then they're like, what?
they're like, let's go.
What happened?
Yeah.
Why'd you stop
Like,
fighting?
It was just a nap.
There was a pit bull that I went to a client's home to like let the dogs out. It was their wedding day, and like he attacked their German Shepherd.
Oh
right.
shit.
And it was just me in the house, and this pit bull was massive, 90 pounds, like on this German Shepherd. I broke a metal folding chair,
Oh, yeah.
beating the shit out of this dog to get him off of the dog.
Oh, no.
Probably
they
had
don't-
no clue what was
they
going on
don't
either.
feel it. They don't
And it
feel it.
was what happened was it was like an unrailed stair, and the shepherd fell off the stairway and pulled because the pit bull was attached. It pulled the dog with him, so when they hit the ground, they separated, and that's why I got them off. But it was like 10 minutes of me beating the shit
10
out of
minutes?
yeah,
Holy shit.
beating the shit out of this dog.
Was it bloody?
Yeah.
I can imagine.
It was.
Happy wedding day.
Yeah, I was like,
Were you like,
guys.
oh, the dogs are alive,
Yeah.
and I did medical care. Everyone's good, so I'll wait until they're done.
Yeah, that's basically what it was. Hey guys, there was an incident. I've got it handled. Everybody's been treated. Everybody's back in their crates. Like, just heads up, you might want to get some antibiotics.
But I think that goes to the whole notion of people not appreciating what's in front of them. Like a dog is not a dog is not a dog. Like there are people that actually think like, oh, we're just wearing different outfits. Right? Like a doodle is the same as a pit bull, or when people call pit bulls nanny dogs or like whatever. Like no, like the dogs were bred for hundreds and hundreds of years, some thousands, to do a specific job, and that is genetically bred into them.
that's where your breed comes from.
That's you can't get away from that. You can't escape your genetics.
You can't-
Right? So
even if
while
you
some
try.
are more diluted and some are not, like, and that's one of the big things when we were talking before we started and you brought up Malinois, right?
Yeah.
Like Malinois are genetically bred for a specific task. And so when people get those dogs because they're gorgeous,
They are nice dogs.
and then they start fucking putting everything in their mouth, including you.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, what the hell? It's like, well, you got a Malinois.
Yeah.
You got what you paid for.
You got,
Yeah.
you got what is
Good
it,
money spent.
alligator?
Malligator.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, totally.
That's what they are.
Yeah.
So does it become increasingly more difficult to try to train a mutt because it's a plethora of breeds? No, that doesn't
I
have
don't
any
think there'll
effect.
be something
Almost,
that'll
yeah.
like pull. Like there'll be a driving breed within the dog, right? Like
Okay.
so, my dog is a predominant pit bull with greyhound,
Okay.
right? Like you can see the greyhound a little bit physically. He's fast as fuck, but he is pit bull. But then the sight hound, he's like, what is that? I need
Yeah.
to stop it and maybe kill it. Like that's what he does. But that's what happens. When you have breeds, like there's always one that, like when you have mutts, there's always a breed that kind of
Comes out a little bit stronger.
comes out a
in
little
the
bit
wash.
stronger.
Okay.
And then that's the part that we always feel bad. Like it's one thing if you go out and you're like, I spent good money on this particular breed.
And a mini Australian Shepherd. Not pointing any fingers. We told you so.
Yeah.
And so
She's great.
You go and you buy something specific, and then you're like, but it's doing this, and we're like, well, yeah, like you got what you paid for.
doing
right?
what it's supposed
Like,
to do.
If you bought a Ferrari, you'd expect it to do certain things.
Yeah, right.
And that's
Yeah.
actually what I refer to Malinois. I'm like, they're the Ferraris of the dog world.
Yeah, no.
But
Nonstop
and then you
maintenance.
get one and you don't know how to drive stick.
Yeah, then you're fucked.
You're
Yeah.
fucked, right? You're gonna drop the
Or
transmission.
you know how to drive stick, but you don't know the power of the car you crash.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen. But when people get puppies and everything that you adopt is like some sort of lab mix, and then you get it and you're like, oh, it's a
Lab
Cane
mix.
Corso
Yeah.
or a Pit Bull, and like I'm like, there's no lab in that at all. That's where like our
never a
heart
lab
goes
mix.
out because like it's not like it's not what you were expecting, and a lot of rescues will label dogs as such, so you take it.
Yeah. Yeah. They're like, here, look at this, like, shepherd mix. And you're like, this is a Great Pyrenees and an Anatolian shepherd. Yeah, it's a shepherd, but it was bred to be left alone in a field with sheep and not talk to people.
Yeah.
And you wonder why it's protecting your house and eating your neighbors.
Yeah. But you feel bad because that's not what they signed on for.
No.
So now you have to try to build a bridge between the family and this dog.
Well, you have to help the owners become something they weren't organically.
Yeah.
What's the dog? I think it's Lassie, right? In the movie, isn't that
Collie.
the one?
Collie.
It doesn't that need a shit ton of land because or what's the dog that needs so much land because it's always running?
The border collie, right?
I'm like, so many.
Oh, sorry.
There's a laundry list.
But what's it? A border collie is the most energetic dog. It's always
I don't
top
even
of the
know
list.
I don't even know if that's true.
Yeah, I just know the border collies though are like
Well, border collies were meant to. So like this goes back to
They're herding dogs.
like you know Colleen, right?
Yeah.
Right. So like she's got border collie mixes.
wait,
And-
my friend Colleen.
Colleen with Jackson and Zoe.
Oh yes, yeah.
So she's got border collie mixes, and one is very border collie.
Those are the siblings.
Yeah.
Yes, and the other one, because
love
other
those
fun
dogs.
fact, like dogs can be impregnated by multiple dogs.
I did not know that.
So you can have a litter of 6 puppies, and there could be 3 fathers.
Get the fuck
So
outta
like
here.
it doesn't even like necessarily.
Holy Maury Povitz.
Right?
You are not the
You
father.
are the father, and so are you, and so are you.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
But so she has two litter mates, and one really is pulling from the border collie sense, and so there's a lot of herding instincts in that dog because that's what border collies do. So yes, that border collies, like they need a lot of they're designed to work alongside people. Right, because they herd sheep, and so they have to respond to the shepherd and all that kind of stuff. Right,
If you ever seen a video of them actually working, it's
it's
awesome.
amazing. It's amazing.
They say left, right,
Yes,
whatever, and
art
they're
in
running
motion. Yeah.
thousands of yards
Yeah.
nonstop, and then back, and then circling around. It's awesome.
But now take that and put it in a fucking New York City apartment, and you're
yeah.
screwed.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, fuck you if you do
Unless
that. Don't
you
worry
are-
though. I took him on a walk.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right?
I took a dog on a walk. It's fine.
It's fine. It's fine. It was 30 minutes. That's the thing that, like, now you have to understand why this dog is seeking out behaviors that are genetically programmed, right? I heard, right? Shepherds do this too. They follow things and they need to move it into like an organized fashion. And so they start doing it to kids. They start doing it to other dogs, other animals. They start doing it to their family.
And then when they can't, they get frustrated and,
then
they
they
start
nip.
to vocalize
And nip.
and nip. And then
Because that's
people
what
are
they
like,
do at the heels of sheep and whatever else they're herding. So this is the stuff that starts to manifest in somebody's house, and they're like, "What the fuck's going on?" And it's like, "Well, you got a sheep dog, and you have no sheep." Like,
Yeah, like
You got a sheepdog, you got no sheep.
you got no sheep. Yeah, no, and that's the piece of information. This is what we find we're educating owners on more today that we didn't have to educate them on 10 years ago.
Fuck.
Do you think that is a lot to do with the COVID transition, where everyone during COVID, me included, got a dog?
I think it has to do with the presence of social media. I
Okay,
think
that makes sense.
I think the humanization of dogs and the monetization of dogs, doing cute bark box. Like, look at the unboxing of all of it. Like, no dog, if humans winked off the face of the planet, they're not looking at each other like, hey, you want to go spend money at Petco? Like, they're like, no, let's roll in this dead squirrel. Like, it's
well, if you look at the puppy section too at Petco, which I always thought was interesting, they have like stuffed pacifiers and stuff, like very human attributed items for dogs. So it's like they're through marketing, they are, because it works, right? Because if this is your baby, you're going to buy a lot of shit for your baby, and people are always like, but I give him such a nice bed, and I give him this, and I'm like, they don't give a fuck.
yeah.
They don't give a fuck.
May has been sleeping on the plastic bottom of the crate
Yeah.
last week because she shit in the bed last week, and I cleaned it as much as I can, put it outside, and I'm not dealing with this.
Yeah.
You can lay like that for now until I feel like
Yeah.
deal with it.
And
she
she's probably happier than
she
anything. She's like, I don't
doesn't care.
She's like, I'm probably cooler.
Yeah.
She doesn't
The
care.
amount of people that bring in like beds and all this kind of stuff, and we put it in like the dog's like area with them, and the dog just goes, "Get this the fuck away from me! This is too hot."
Yeah.
Like I prefer the floor. Like it's amazing. Like we just put all of these attributes, and that's you're putting feelings on another being that doesn't exist.
That's fucking
Well,
incredible.
And like, if you think about it, with being able to share this stuff on Instagram, I can't tell you how many dog influencers on Instagram we have worked with, because what they put forward to society of what it looks like to live with their dog and what they're actually struggling with on the back end,
They don't.
it's night and day. So that's why I say I sound ancient when I say I blame social media, like some old. I'm like, oh, social media.
Such a boomer.
Right, I am. Right.
She is. She's a boomer from the 1800s.
Yeah. I was the original boom.
The original boom. She was here with the Big Bang.
I was. I saw it happen. But like, it's crazy because that lens has set the tone of this is what it should look like living with my dog. My dog in cute outfits, my dog having a puppuccino, my dog going through the drive-thru, my dog wearing all of this stuff and getting paid by dog vest places to like wear this stuff, my dog eating this kind of food, my dog doing this kind of trick. And then people come to us and they're like, I don't know why my dog is pissing on the floor. It's a 10-week-old puppy. They don't put that shit on Instagram. They're like, why is my dog biting me? Because it's trying to play with you. But I bought it all of this shit. I said, but it's inanimate objects in the corner. It doesn't know those are toys. You have to teach it how to play. It's playing with you how it plays with the dog. How do dogs play with other dogs? They put other dogs' heads in their mouth and they meow on it. It's a good time. Right? Like you got an animal, but the lens of dog ownership has shifted to such a humanized, perfect picture of this is a status symbol now that people have forgotten that you've brought an animal, a predator, into your home, and it's not going to respond to that shit. Like, the amount of people that are upset that come here that they can't put a coat on their dog. I'm like, God gave it one. It's called fur.
Jesus
Cane
Christ.
Corso. Cane Corso. But what about the rain jacket? It's a Cane fucking Corso. I think I might beat you up just for putting a rain jacket on it.
So-
like, are you kidding?
So here's the only time you should ever put anything on a dog. It's when you have a dog like May or like Christina. They put the friggin' like 70s jumpsuit.
Oh, no, I'm all for that. I'm all
with
for
the
that.
snow. Oh my god,
I'm all
That's
for
the
that.
time. There's a purpose for it.
There is a purpose for it. That shit sucks.
In the wintertime in the snow, just letting her out. It's like I have to like wring her
Ice pick.
paws out.
Yes.
Like you were out there.
That's
for
genius.
45
Whoever
seconds.
invented that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, like May's out there for 45 seconds. The peeing comes in and it's just caked in her fur.
Well, like boots for like sled dogs.
Yeah.
Right? Like things like that. Or like if you live in the city and there's salt everywhere, like put boots on your dog. Like I get that. But like the amount of dogs that just go out in fucking outfits.
Yeah, that, I've never.
You know
I
what
never
also
liked
gets
that.
me? Strollers for dogs.
Yeah.
Unless your dog is old as fuck.
Old.
Like, if your dog is paralyzed or old, that's fine. Walk the dog. It has 2 more legs than you do. It needs it.
Yeah, it probably. Yeah, that's what I said. It probably needs it.
Yeah.
Like,
What about those little the Dachshund?
Oh, the dachshunds?
Yeah.
The ones with the long backs.
Yeah.
Dachshunds.
With the legs that are this big.
Yeah. Dachshunds are bred to go. Do you know why they're loud and they're long like that? They're bred to go into the burrows of badgers and kill them in small spaces
Yeah.
and then bark so their owners reach
Badgers?
in. Yes. They're
And then
badger
people
hunters.
are like, let's invite this into
They hunt
our
badgers.
home.
Badgers are no joke.
yeah.
No, they're not. You know what a honey badger is? Have you ever seen the
They
honey
don't give a
badger?
fuck.
They don't give a fuck.
They don't care. Honey badgers don't care.
Dachshunds are designed.
Yo.
So I watched. I follow this guy on it. Speaking of Instagram, I follow this guy on Instagram. Super fascinating. He breeds and raises dachshunds for hunting, rabbits, ground animals, things like that. He was with his dog, and his dog went into a fucking bear den and actually got killed by the bear because the dachshund provoked the bear. And the guy couldn't get in there to get the dachshund out fast enough, and the bear just went chomp and then ran. And unfortunately, the dog died. But like, this is the personality of dachshunds. People go, oh, weenie dogs. Weenie dogs are adorable because look at their little legs. And they're like, why is it barking so loud? Why is it biting people?
Jesus Christ.
I never knew that's why they were bred. I mean,
Yeah.
I knew that they were bred for like burrowing animals, hence the shape of the body. But
Every dog was, even the doodle.
Yeah.
Every dog was bred with something in mind.
some kind of hunting in mind or protection.
all right. So this is going to be something that you hear almost, I guess, every dog owner. I can't categorize every. I think it's necessary. I don't know if I'm going to be saying something controversial. Where the hell did neutering come in?
Oh, don't get us started. Don't get me started.
Like, why do they neuter?
I just can't imagine, like, you have balls and then all right, we're chopping them off.
Well,
like,
it's a rescue thing, right? So there is in
Population
this,
control is the short answer.
This country, there is a very big issue with population, right? And
Like Maverick's a Louisiana dog because they just do whatever the fuck they want
in
there.
America, you're just like, we just fucking, when we're done with stuff, we dispose of it. We don't care, right? You go to any other country, like my entire family's from Germany. So like you go to Germany, dogs aren't neutered. They're not spayed. They're not even on fucking leashes. They just follow their owners around. They're well socialized.
Yeah.
And like, because people actually get dogs for a reason, and they are law-abiding, and they're not irresponsible and all that kind of stuff. So you don't have dogs just having puppies because someone wasn't paying attention.
There's two things there. It's the German culture is very law-abiding.
Yes, they are.
They're very. That's what the only thing I know about
German efficiency.
It's just you just do what you're supposed to.
Yeah.
But there's thousands of years of dog culture there. In the States, it's well, fuck it. There's a dog. Cool. I like him,
Totally.
and that's it. And it's
Well,
very
it's self-serving.
Yeah, it's very like, what can the dog do for me, right? So I think we have such a juvenile culture of dogs here, so we have so many growing pains.
In
and
some
not
cultures,
sophistication.
it's actually looked down. Like I know in Spanish cultures, like it's like if you like alter your dog, that's bad.
Yeah.
Bad news, right? Like they'll look down on people for doing that. So it really is. It's definitely a cultural thing. Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
It's wild.
But it started off as population control, essentially, because people aren't paying attention and dogs are just wandering around creating puppies. And so they're like, we need to do something to curb this. Well, and sterilization is the go-to. So with any cultural extreme, there's always a pendulum swing. Right? There's an extremist swing to any cultural narrative, norms, a societal standard that's going on. You can look at it throughout history, from the 1950s feminist movement to like now, and like all that. There's a huge pendulum swing whenever this happens. So when the populations with dogs where it was getting to be a problem, dogs are just roaming around, no owners in sight, packs of them, like attacking cattle and all of this kind of stuff. It was like, we need to do something about this. These domesticated animals need to be taken care of, all this kind of stuff. We're going to neuter and spay and all this kind of stuff. Now it's swung to preemptive pediatric spay and neuter, which is causing a huge health effect on the longevity of life of dogs and behavioral fallout of dogs. Spaying and neutering dogs before their entire hormonal system is mature enough to give them exactly what they need. And it's just coming to light now that this is causing a huge problem physically and behaviorally in the dog community that a lot of people don't want to talk about. So you want to talk about a controversial topic. It's most people are like, pediatric spay and neuter at like 8 weeks old. We're going to sterilize these animals.
Our friend's dog, she got him from a rescue. Shout out Mako. I think he was 8 weeks old when he was, but it was a rescue, and it's like, okay, in that circumstance, I understand why they're doing it, but it's like, could you just fucking say you have a contract at
Yeah, I don't understand why they
8
do
months
that,
old you
honestly.
do it.
Yeah.
But it's a rescue. We're not letting any dogs go through us without being this. Okay, whatever. I get it. It's not the greatest term. It's funny though, because you know my experiences with their old vet, and they were adamant about spading Maverick because it would fix his behavior issues. It didn't do shit. He hasn't changed.
It can make it worse.
He hasn't
Yeah.
changed a bit. His personality has not changed. He hasn't been less calm, more calm or anything. Nothing. But he was 10 months old at that point. So he still wasn't fully mature though. Thankfully it was later. But like, I kind of regret it now. I wish I would have waited 2 years or something. So it just drives me nuts because you have the conversation. No, they need to. No,
Yeah.
they need to. It's like,
Well, hey,
define need.
You do better when you know better,
Yeah.
right? Like my dog was neutered at like 9 months old. And like same thing, you know, and I'm like, God, I wish I waited longer. And he had double CCL tears, which is also something that occurs apparently when you do early neuters or spays, because it's your ACL. Like, so my dog tore both of his knees and had to get.
So the dog that I just told you that got spayed, ACL.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
The other one's coming if it didn't happen already.
Because
I hope not.
the hormonal wash that they get through different developmental stages affects, you know, muscle development, tone, like elasticity, all this kind of stuff. It also messes with the endocrine system of the dog's body, and like all of these types of things that are needed. And
just think about if you did it to a human, what would happen if you took away any of our hormonal functions at birth?
This is real controversial. I don't know, man. You can't take away anything. Whatever. I'm not touching.
Maybe we wouldn't have these other controversies then.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what would happen.
It's just like I'm not touching the human aspect. I'm talking about like dog wise. It's like my father-in-law, I think he got the dog. What's the female version of a vasectomy? I think that's what they were I don't know if that's what he ended up doing, but that's what he was looking at doing. And
Sterilization on it. Yeah.
But you keep all the bodily functions for the hormone and stuff.
You get a tube side.
Yeah, that's what I like now. Knowing moving forward, that's what I would do. And then if it continues being like the dog is super aggressive, then we can always then later on go the route of.
Well, and it's interesting with like Colleen and Christina. Like Christina, we were actually, because we don't ever advocate that people like. I'm like, you do whatever you want. Like we have our suggestions about things, and Christina, we suggested it because we're like, dude, that is like caught like that right. All
she
of
has
problems,
a doodle.
Yeah,
and I don't want to trick you guys with the doodles, but doodles is like
I love doodles.
But doodles,
I'll doodle all day.
But aren't the doodles like everyone has a doodle and there's always backyard breeding, and isn't that the controversial thing now? Is everyone wants one and they're always kind of poorly bred.
You know what? Listen, like.
You can say that for the German Shepherd community as well.
Too. Yeah.
Like within any specific breed, like you get that too. Whatever's the most popular, it's hard to find and water out a good breeder.
But regardless, you got the dog that's in front of you.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
It's here.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like wherever it came from, it's here. And Reggie's actually like a very.
I like Reggie.
Reggie's a very like conformationally.
Yeah,
like he's a
beautiful.
He's
dog.
a gorgeous dog, and like he's got his like faculties about him. He just is the testosterone in his system is so extreme. It caused a lot of the things that we were seeing. So for her, hey, if you chose to do this, I think there would be benefits, right? And she ended up doing it, and
I think he was at 2 at that point.
Yeah,
he might have even been older, but like
3 years old. Yeah.
But he did way better because of that. And then if you talk to Colleen actually chose to sterilize her dogs. And that I had have much less education or knowledge about, because that's like something new that people are doing, but that's what she chose to do, and like that's really fucking cool too, because then everything still stays intact. You just you can't reproduce.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, why isn't that just a go-to now if that's an option?
Well,
you know?
and this goes to our mellow method, dealing with like the the medical, like how does your dog's physiology play into their behavioral stuff?
Right.
Because you have to understand how hormones work in the body. If you have an organic body, a meat suit, and you have hormones, this is how it works. Excess hormones, if not used, do not get washed out of your system through waste. So if you take too much vitamin C, you pee it out and you're over. Your body uses what it needs and it gets rid of the excess. Hormones stay stored. That's why you can have an excess of, that's why there are hormone imbalances. If you don't use it, it's not you lose it, you keep it. So in a case like Reggie, if he wasn't actively procreating and he wasn't intensely exercising to the point of burning through, like getting into the testosterone burn, that all that testosterone is fueling his behavior.
All the drive, yeah.
What happens with men who are hopped up on steroids, too much testosterone.
Roid rage, yeah.
Rah, right? It makes the behavior intense. So when you're fighting against that intensity for behavior modification purposes, it can shoot you in the foot. That's why it's like, does the dog need to be neutered or whatever so he doesn't get that hormone wash? Maybe. Is the hormones just creating that edginess in there, or is it not? Is it a problem? Is it not? But understanding how hormones are used and or not used is important, because if you have a really big wash and buildup of testosterone in a dog's body, it can make behaviors feel aggressive that aren't, because they're edgy. they're intense, right? Frustration is a real thing when you have too much testosterone in your body. That's just what it is. So should dogs be neutered? Should dogs not be neutered? It depends on the dog's behavior.
So now I know I'm cranky when I don't train at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, dude.
Or get laid.
If I take a week, 10 days off,
Yeah, for real.
Or get laid.
No, seriously.
No.
Seriously.
Well, and this is why high-performing sports people, and some of them intentionally won't get laid for a period of time before they have to perform to make them more edgy on the field.
Pretty sure Tyson's trainer would insist that. I believe so.
No, that's definitely. I could see how that would work.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, fuck.
See, no topic is off.
Yeah. But here's the thing: you were very educational about it. You weren't crude about it.
No, yeah. Well,
I can be crude.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm just being polite.
No, that's fine. No. We could be crude on this show. No matter.
Yeah.
A whole new meaning to fuck around and find out.
Yeah. Legit, literally fuck around.
Hey, babe, you want to experiment with me for science?
So, folks, the next time your significant other may be just a little angry, be like, "Hey, sweetheart, why don't we just go to the bedroom?"
Yeah. There you go. It won't hurt.
It won't hurt.
Well, you can leave whatever happens in the bedroom there. After that, it won't hurt. Anyway, so I had a question for you. I'm trying to encourage a friend of mine to pursue the e-collar route. They hike a lot, and they have the dog on a leash the whole time. And it's like you hike and you're out in the middle of nowhere, and it's like these dogs are fine. Like, I don't want to boss my dog around. What would you have you experienced that with clients coming in?
Like that's the response.
Like I don't want to be their boss. I don't want to dictate to them. Like I'm not gonna like they're animals. I'm gonna let them do their own thing or whatever the case may be. Have you experienced that?
Well, yes. No. I mean, people come in all the time, and we have to. Even if they're on board with the e-collar, they don't understand how it should be used, right? Most people use an e-collar as like a big no button, and they just go no, right? Without any context, right? So the dog is just doing something that they don't like, zap, and the dog's like, what the fuck was that? That is a surefire way to get a very superstitious dog and create lots of fallout, right? It's not how you use an e-collar. You use an e-collar like you would use a leash. You develop communication around this tool and the stimulation that happens when you press the button, and how that is in conjunction to their behavior, right? So like if I say come and you come, great, awesome. If I say come and you don't, I would say no, press the button. That's not coming to me, come to me, and then let go of the button, right? That's what you do with a leash. If you had a leash on the dog and you'd say come and the dog didn't come, you'd pull on the leash till the dog came, and then when the dog came, the leash would go slack. That's the correlation, and hopefully that's kind of clear. I mean,
it's very clear.
Okay.
Very clear.
So that's how an e-collar should be used.
Everyone, that's a simplified version. It's not that easy.
It is that easy, Tim.
You don't start there.
Let me rephrase that. It's not that easy to train your dog after just
Okay,
hearing
yes, you don't start there, but
30-second explanation.
that's the concept of it. You have to teach the dog what that means and how to respond. I think when people go, I don't want to boss my dog around, like, I can tell you, I think the coolest but also the saddest thing that I hear from a lot of people that like watch our social media or have been actually on site, because we also host trainers and do shadow programs, and they come here and learn, is they go, I never knew a dog could be this happy with an e-collar. And I'm like, well, how the fuck are you using it? Like, like I can't even move the e-collars. If I'm just like, here, let me move them over here so I can like dust right here. My dogs are like, where are we going? Like they get so excited. I'm like, nowhere, but calm down. Just sit for a second. We're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
But like, that's the association that they have with it, because we're not bossing them around. What we're doing is we're helping them navigate the environment so they can be more free. Because when I see, hey, you know what? If you go 10 more feet over, you're going to be in the middle of a road. Come away from that. That's what gives them the freedom. The dog I can't say that to is going to be the one that's
hit by a car
and killed.
Well, and here's the thing that I also find ironic societally. People go, my dog is my kid. My dog is my baby. Right? Okay. Then raise it like one. Nobody goes, I'm going to allow little Johnny to punch the kid on the playground because he's being a kid. right? I'm going to let my toddler just run amok in the environment and not say anything to it because I feel bad. Some people do, though. But, like, that's the thing. Like, if you actually care about, like, that's an unrealistic worldview. Nothing on this planet exists without boundaries, societal standards, and consequences. It doesn't. And if you're like, I don't want to boss my dog around, I just want my dog to be a dog. All right, don't be upset when your dog does dog shit. When your dog chases the deer, when your dog runs into traffic, when your dog bites somebody else, that's normal dog behavior. You cannot say to your dog, do whatever the fuck you feel like until what you feel like bothers me. That's not okay. But you have to teach your dog something, a form of communication. I have 4 kids. I didn't know how to raise kids. I was learning how to train dogs. So I dog trained my kids. I got pretty awesome kids. Yeah.
Look, here you go. Here's your candy.
Yeah. Here you go.
Here's your treat.
But like this is like there are rules and societal standards that are taught and upheld in our society. Why do we stand in line at a grocery store?
We're just trained. I don't know. That's what you do to get checkout.
What are you afraid of?
What are you afraid of? What's going to happen if you push somebody out of line and check out first?
Oh, everyone else is going to be like, what the fuck did you just do?
Yeah.
Oh, so
social pressure.
Social pressure.
Yeah.
It's a negative consequence. Everything on this planet works to avoid something. Always. Always. Why do you go to work? Yeah, you get a paycheck, but there are some days where I'm like,
so don't get evicted?
Right? So you don't get evicted.
That's the thing, right? And that's
or fired.
That's the level of like reinforcement too, right? Like you going to work to get that paycheck. The paycheck may not be the reinforcing thing. It's the loss of your house. That's the reinforcing thing, right?
Well,
and that's how all that stuff starts to.
And if your friends are going, I don't want to let my dog off leash or e-collar train my dog because I don't want to boss my dog around. That's what you're doing, tying it up on a rope.
Yeah, that was my response, but I was not being elegant at all.
Like you are restricting that dog and frustrating that dog more than giving it a skill set to enjoy its free life. Our dogs' lives are much bigger than most dogs. And that's my argument, because a lot of clients get a lot of pushback when they have e-collars on their dogs, prong collars on their dogs, or whatever, and they're out in public. And people are like, oh, I would never do that with my dog. I go, ask them where their dog is. At home. Why? Because my dog would never be able to walk on a leash, handle a coffee shop, go hiking. It doesn't come when it's called. Whose life is worse? The dog that I can take hiking, mountain biking off leash, paddleboarding, go on road trips, camping, take it anywhere with me, go to a coffee shop, never has to be home alone because it's so well trained I can have it everywhere in public? Or your dog who's stuck in a large crate, even though you call it a house and pay a handsome mortgage for it, who does fuck all. Whose dog has the better life? Mine with the e-collar? Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point.
And the other thing to keep in mind too is like you as a dog owner, I talk about checks and balances, right? You as a dog owner are the only checks and balances that exist for that animal because essentially you're holding it hostage in your home, right?
Dog ownership is Stockholm Syndrome?
Yeah, essentially. Yeah. I compare the two all the time. But if you have a child that you raise that way, right, that you just don't do anything with, don't give them any boundaries, there is going to be a system of checks and balances in place throughout society that is going to catch up with them, right? Somebody is going to be like, your behavior is not appropriate, whether it be a peer, a parent, the court system, the prison system, cops, whatever. Somebody at some point is going to be like, this is not appropriate behavior. The problem is that for your dog, you are the only one that's going to be able to say that. And so it's your responsibility to step into that role. And I think a lot of people, again, going back to, well, that's not what I wanted a dog for. I wanted a dog because the dog made me feel good. But what's ironic is that those dogs are not, oh, my jersey just came out. Those dogs are not.
Excuse me, I'm going to go get a cup of coffee.
Those dogs are not making them feel good.
Yeah.
Like it's such a funny duality, right? Like I get a dog because I wanted this dog to make me feel a certain way, but I don't want to impose any boundaries on them because that doesn't make me feel good. But having this dog, but this dog is not making me feel. It's a constant cycle.
It's a constant loop of misery right there.
Yeah.
Well, it's also, you find people that don't want to put a harsh what they consider a harsh consequence on their dog is because they experience some sort of overcorrection in their life at some point.
Yeah. Again, 7-8-year-old self always comes back to childhood trauma.
And that's what it is. It's like, so, and it's interesting because we always say you don't get the dog you want, you get the dog you need.
Yep.
Right? You get the dog that reflects back to you something in yourself that you want to heal. Always. You're also in relationship with people around you that you are trying to heal some wounding within yourself. That's another deep topic. But anxious people either produce or get anxious dogs.
Oh, that explains a lot about Maverick.
Right? Because there's something in the crazy in you recognizes and honors the crazy in me. And we're trying to heal something in ourselves through extension of our dogs. So I see that you're upset by this thing. I see that you're scared of men. I was abused by men. So maybe if I love you enough, you won't be scared of men. That's irrational. It's a dog, right? That's what you deal with your therapist on, not with your dog trainer.
Well, unless you come here.
Unless you come here.
Yeah.
And then we'll highlight all of this shit for you. But like that, those are the things that people hold on to in their relationship with their dog. And this is why in a 1-hour session, which our sessions with our clients are never 1 hour.
No.
They're always like 2, right? Because we might touch or interact with the dog for a maximum of 15 minutes. The rest is talking to the person.
I can attest to that.
Right? Because it's like you had to look at yourself and your feelings, why you were feeling that way, and what you thought your dog's behavior said about you.
Yep. It's funny. It's what am I doing wrong? But and also why am I doing it wrong? Because you can tell me what I'm doing wrong, but in order for me to actually do the correction, it's why am I doing it wrong?
Yeah.
It's the psychological stuff behind it.
What is it about your dog's behavior?
I
that's
still
causing you to
remember.
do this?
I forget. I don't remember which one it was. I think it was May. I remember being out there and it was still the tight leash. The second dog through with you guys, and you're like, chill the fuck out. And I'm like, Sam, you take him. Take her. I need to watch what's going on. I'm doing something. And then she's like, Sam's had no issues because she's not as anxious as me about it. And then I'm like, okay, cool. Okay. And then we dialed in. And then I think from there was another hour and a half. Just, reps,
But look at what
talking.
you guys do too for a living, right? Like she's actually like, she has been well trained to stay calm until she has to spring into action, right? And like you, again, being very calculating, needing to know like this happens after this, happens after this, which isn't natural in working with an organic being, right? There's no blueprint there. But like that speaks, but also Sam at the same time doesn't want to be hard or a disciplinarian because she's doing that all fucking day long.
Yeah.
Right? And I always like when we work with cops and nurses or anybody in a really high pressure job. Lawyers, yes, they all have a lot of difficulty coming home and still embodying that because they're like, we do that all day. I don't want to do that when I go home. Right? So it's exactly. So it's either that aspect or it's I need to know the blueprint here because that's what you do.
Yeah.
You make blueprints. I need to know how this works and then
when it doesn't work that way, this is frustrating. It
Cannot
should work
compute.
this way. Yeah,
totally. So it is like it's just so amazing, like how you can boil this down to like what because those are also things that you're organically drawn to, or you're lucky enough to have chosen a career path that you actually enjoy and that you can put your talents and the things that light you up into, and a lot of times when we start talking to people for the first time, I'm like, what do you do?
Because that'll tell us everything.
And it
tie
does.
it all
It's
in.
funny is how that kind of indirectly but directly ties into it all.
Yeah.
It's fucking fascinating. It's fascinating for me because I'm taking this from the outside. I don't know anything.
So when are you going to get that dog?
I don't. To be honest with you,
meet him?
His name is Camden.
Yeah, right.
He's very sexy.
To be honest with you, I don't think I would get a dog until I'm actually ready. And I don't.
It's a good choice.
And honestly, I get that. You're never ready to have kids. You're never ready to have a pet. It's like, no, you can be ready to not be ready, right? And there's going to be a point where, like, right now, I know if I were to impulse buy a dog, me being the nature of what I'm doing, like, I would find a way because I wouldn't quit, right? I'd find a way. I just don't want to go through that yet.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, that's it. So, I don't know.
She says that about kids. She's like,
that's why I don't have
want a
kids.
kid.
That was literally going to come out of my mouth next. That's why I don't have kids.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. But like this is all the stuff that like when people say to us, what do you do? I hate saying that I'm a dog trainer.
Yes.
Because they're like, oh, you get to play with puppies all day. I'm like, Sure.
We don't get to play with puppies at all.
But
At
like-
all. This is bullshit. I quit.
Yeah. You're like, I'm out. I got into this.
Sorry, but you can quit, but you can't leave the place.
Yeah. No, you ain't leaving, bitch.
You can just keep dealing with the dog poop. I'll do the rest of the training.
Yeah.
I'm just going to make sure the pond is nice and clear.
It's nice and clear.
That's it.
No, but it's crazy because this is the stuff that you don't think you need to know in order to have in order to be successful in this field. And you do.
It's funny. The question you asked on your podcast when I was on, you guys should go check that out. It was, why did I pick you guys? And it's that exact reason is you Canine Co-op stood out from the other ones because it's like, it's not obedience. Like, you do this, you train your dog, and just enforce them to do it. It's the full psychological mindset, and my engineering why brain clicks with you too, because that's what you guys do. But that is the aspect of making this fully effective instead of just, you do this, don't ask why, you just force them to do it, and they don't do it, you just force them harder. Or the opposite end of the spectrum, you don't force them to do anything, and it just rainbows and confetti.
Yeah.
Well, we've talked to you about like other clients that we've had that have spent thousands of dollars, with like one specifically $8,000. $8,000. Could you imagine?
Is that for one trainer?
What? No, multiple.
Okay. I was gonna say, as long as it's not one trainer, but still, it's a lot of money.
It's so much money, and this is a constant story that we hear. People are we're generally never somebody's first trainer. We're always their last, but we're generally never the first. And you can't, especially in this area, you can't like spit without hitting a dog trainer. Like, there's so many, and like that's part of the. It's part of the issue, because when people are going with like a buying mentality, they're looking for what's the least expensive or
the best value.
Whatever it is. And we're none of those. Like, we're a great value, but we're definitely not the least expensive.
Yeah, but you get what you pay for, right?
Exactly.
You want to cheap out on something, you're probably not going to get the best quality.
And that's what happens, right? Like, we've gotten to a point now, and it does hurt my heart when like people can't financially like hit our number. But I'm also like, there isn't a person that we've worked with that's like, oh, well, that wasn't money well spent. Like, like everyone's like, holy shit. And then they send their next dog, and then they send their next dog.
Yeah.
And then they come and shadow us. We've had clients that actually shadow us.
To learn more about dogs.
And so like, it's definitely, I think we're touching on something that's hopefully the way things are going to be going forward, because it's,
Well, we're in this, yes, to help dogs and help owners, but we're in this to change the industry.
Yeah.
There's always a bigger purpose.
Yeah.
And usually the businesses, and I'm not just saying this because you're on a show right now, usually the businesses where they have that bigger purpose, there's more of a reason behind the money or whatever, right? Those are the ones that blow up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
We just had this conversation last night talking to our friends at the jiu-jitsu gym. They have the biggest jiu-jitsu gym in New Jersey, and they do zero advertisement.
Yep.
And it's just from the culture and the mindset. And they have, I don't know, 500 students.
Something. Yeah.
500 students, like zero advertisement.
Yep.
And there's people that drive 45 minutes an hour to their gym.
100%.
Yeah.
So it's the culture, it's the foundation and the ethos of what you guys put forward.
Well, it's interesting because I was in like some stupid German Shepherd Facebook forum, and this woman asked a question, and it was, I don't need obedience training, but I need help, something along those lines. And I reached out to her. I've been working with this person as just like a virtual, how can I help you thing? And we've started getting a lot of out-of-state people wanting to work with us. So
That's
we're,
awesome.
again, art of the pivot.
Trying to figure out how to hit more people
globally, right? To help, because the communication that's coming back is the trainers in our area don't talk. I have like people that say this to us. I have learned more from you in a 1-hour conversation, and you haven't even met my dog. And why don't
But it's like you're there.
Yeah.
It's like,
they're like,
you're there.
oh my God, it's like you live here. I'm like, I know. And what the question she asked after that changed, like almost solidified what was kind of whispering in the back of my mind for the last couple months to a year. And she said, why don't other trainers tell me this? Why didn't anybody else tell me this? And she's worked with multiple. And they were telling her to put her dog down.
This thing's not even a year old.
It's not even a year old.
Not even a year old.
And 3 video calls and some basic texts back and forth, the dog has improved vastly in 3 weeks. And she's in Oregon. And I'm like, this is the shit. We need to not teach owners. We need to teach trainers this, because if we want to change the industry, if we want to change the mentality, the mindset of training dogs, we have to teach trainers this, because our reach needs to be greater. And we were just talking about a platform. We're like, we need to widen our platform, because it's the message needs to get out there, because people are struggling and dogs are dying. And it's with shit that we can fix in an hour phone conversation that to us is just eat, sleep, breathe. It's like, of course you're dying. You haven't had any water to drink. Your body needs hydration. And people are like, oh my God. And we're like, this is basic survival 101.
Yeah.
Have you seen the movie Idiocracy?
Yes.
When you say that, that's what I'm
Oh,
thinking.
what was that stuff they put on the plant?
Bondo juice?
Yeah.
Brondo.
Brondo. That's
Brondo
it.
juice.
They're
It's
like,
what the plants
It's
crave.
what plants crave.
Yeah. They're like, well, maybe they're dying. They need some water. But Brondo has
Brondo's
everything
what plants
plants.
Yeah, it's
You're like,
exactly that. It's
yeah.
like, oh, wait, water? What?
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah.
Obedience training. Obedience training. Get your dog obedience training.
Obedience training is what dogs crave.
Yeah. It's bananas. But
The funny thing too is the mellow, your method and all that. It's not the flashy like sales gimmicky thing that's gonna like, it doesn't look pretty on, like it is when you get into it, but like on that service level, it's not like a pretty thing. Like, oh, I made my dog sit and stay there the whole time, and I walked into the store. Like, how do you display the mindset method and all that in a 15-second Instagram reel, you know? And it looks pretty and catchy.
We're
and
trying to figure it out.
And gets a million views because this
Right?
dog is, dancing in a hula skirt or something. Like,
But that's such a good point. The amount of people that do, like someone, I don't even remember how long ago this was, but someone's like, but can they lay in a down like 50 feet away? I'm like, when the fuck will you ever need that? Like, honestly, when will you ever need your dog to stay an extended down 50 feet from you?
I don't even know what that means, and it sounds stupid.
It's just so it's flashy. It's for
Yeah.
show. It's like it's just not useful to the everyday dog owner.
that dog, if I'm getting kind of worked up. It's pissing me off.
worked up.
But it's like, okay, cool, your dog does that, but that only applies for certain types. Like, that's okay, maybe that's a personal security dog or whatever. That's a working kind of dog. The average pet owner,
Exactly.
that means fucking nothing to
Nothing.
me. Other than the place command, which is go sit there and chill the fuck out. But them sitting in a down, okay, but like that doesn't apply to my daily life. When I'm mountain biking, you think I'm going to leave May off 50 feet from me? No. That's like, I need to see her because it's fucking woods. If I can't see her, I have a bear bell on her. It's a bell. Scared bear. But anyway, it's the bell, so I know what the fuck she is. Because when I'm riding, I can't look back. I'm doing 15, 20 miles an hour. So like the down state, sorry.
But like that's what people buy. To your point, that's what people buy.
Yeah.
So if you like, because your phones are listening, you'll now start getting lots of advertisements for dog training packages, right? And it's all these people where these dogs are like in between like trainers' legs, and they're marching like this, and they're heeling like this, and they're like running across the field and grabbing like an arm, and then they're like sitting here and they're like doing that, and I'm like, nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. Everybody wants, hey, I'm having a party. Don't eat my guests. Don't steal their food. Lay down. Hey, you ran out the front door. Come back here so I don't have to chase you through the neighborhood.
Not even that. I open my front door and my dog won't run out.
Right.
I said this on your podcast. I left the back, the driveway gate open, small gate. I left it open, and I opened the back door to let the dogs out like I normally do. I released them, the same threshold, and I realized as I said break, they went, and the gate was open. I was like, oh fuck! I started yelling at May, come, and she's just like, what are you freaking out? Like she's like,
Calm
what the
down,
fuck?
Dad.
Why are you freaking out? And like as I'm walking down, no, I said stay, and she's staying. She's like, what are you freaking out about? And I'm like, close the gate. It was like barely open too, and she just didn't like. She saw it, and she never goes through it. And even on a leash, I have to release her. But it's the threshold. That's what you want, not the
Like,
fucking
and that's the,
sit there and do nothing.
But that's what people buy.
Yeah.
They buy sit down, stay, come heel. Okay. How do you use it?
Well, that's like Brody. We had this very dangerous pit bull, and he went through a board and train, and they were like, we are struggling because the dog was fucking dangerous, and he guarded things with his life, right?
Not a lot of dogs can scare me. That dog scared me.
Yeah, he would fuck you up.
Is that the Taylor's dog?
No,
A
no.
different Brody?
Brody. She's Bodie.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
Not to be
apologize.
confused. So what I found interesting was his obedience was on point. It was super flashy. And I was like, I had such a good time with like the flip to sit.
So you
Right?
call the dog to come to you and say sit, and they turn their body so even if they're front facing,
They'll,
they
like, flip
their body
sit
around
down.
so that they're
Yeah.
they're next to you.
In that heel position?
Yeah. Super fancy.
Yeah.
He'd kill you.
But that does not help you when he's got something in his fucking mouth and he doesn't want to let go of it and he will fight you for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Like an 80-pound pit bull's like, come on.
and after and
Let's go.
Yeah.
I'm bred for this. I want to do it.
But he was a very gamey dude, and he's like, "Come at me, bro." Very confident dog. And when we were talking to them, because at the end I was joking, because I remember they were a tough buy-in because they're like, "Oh, we're gonna go through this again, right? Like you guys can't help me, and plus we're like two chicks, and like we just came
Yeah.
from like, bro training and
Alpha.
Exactly. And we're like, no, man, it's fine. And so after everything, they're elated. They're like, oh my God, I can take things from the dog. Like he can drop stuff. We can play tug. He's not growling at me. I can walk by his food bowl and he's not trying to kill me.
Yeah.
That's what people want. And I was like, but wasn't all that money for the flip to sit worth it?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, it wasn't.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like, it looks nice. Like, even I was like, well, man, their obedience is on point. But it solved nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
It's like having a Gucci handbag, but you have cancer.
Right?
It's not
Yeah.
solving your cancer, but you look pretty, I guess.
It looks
You look
nice.
real great. Get the shoes.
Yes.
Make sure they match.
Oh man, that's funny. You guys have explained, even though obviously we're just touching surface level here, right? In a almost 3-hour podcast.
Holy
It's been 3
shit.
hours?
Yeah, it's 2 hours 45 minutes. Yeah, it doesn't feel like it. Never does.
Land this bird.
No, that's what good conversation does. When you have a good conversation, it always goes. Even though we're just touching the surface level, I feel like now I understand, right? Shit before hitting record, I didn't know anything about. Now I'm starting to get a gauging understanding, because I was one of those people that was like, oh, all dog trainers or people who have dogs are always doing obedient. Yeah, sit, come on. But now I can understand. If you can teach a dog to come, right? Then you have a fucking shit ton of land. And that dog now is doing whatever the fuck it needs to do, because that's the breed. It needs to be running outside. You don't have to worry about it now being lost, and now you have a whole damn search party, because once you say come, that dog's coming back. Something that seems so simple, now I understand why you guys do it the way you do, because there's a whole psychology behind it.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're just, hey, sit, stay, blah, and then that dog starts fucking running off, well, now you didn't train it to come back. And now you're in a fucking 3-day. I know people who have gone on 3-day
yeah.
3-day searches. It's not fun. It's interesting. So
One of our clients runs a dog recovery rescue. Where
Yeah.
she goes out.
She goes and finds
really?
lost dogs.
It's
Yeah.
very cool. Buddha dog.
Yeah, shout out
Rescue
to
and
Nicole.
recovery.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, and
That's
it's
awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome. And to that point, I stress this to a lot of people. If you're out there looking for a dog trainer, dog trainers are like doctors. Like dog trainer is not dog trainer is not dog trainer. You need to find a dog trainer that knows and is well versed in whatever you're looking to do or whatever you need with your dog. Because I can go to a doctor of mathematics, but they're not going to help me if I have a brain tumor.
Yeah.
Right? I need a neurosurgeon.
Yeah.
I'm also not going to go to a neurosurgeon to get my broken nose fixed for plastic surgery. And I'm not going to go to a plastic surgeon to have them do heart surgery. And I'm not going to go to my heart surgeon to unfuck my childhood trauma.
Yeah.
Right? You have to find the trainer that specializes in what you need. And if you don't know what you need, talk to a whole bunch of trainers, aka doctors, that will send you somewhere else. And to dog trainers out there, if anybody's listening to this that's a dog trainer, do not try to be all things to all people at all times. You cannot do it. I do not train seeing eye dogs. I do not train therapy dogs. Do I have a general idea of how that works? Absolutely. I don't train bite dogs. I don't train protection dogs. I don't train search and rescue dogs. Could I figure it out? Sure. But that's not what I do. I do behavior modification and off-leash reliability and general lifestyle training. Those are my specialties. I stay in my realm of influence. If someone came to me and said, I want to train my dog to go find cocaine in New York airport, I'd go, great, let's find you somebody who can do that. I'm not
Like, great, let's go find the cocaine.
right? Let's go get some.
I'll train your
I'm that
dog.
dog.
I'll train your dog to find it and bring it back to me.
Retrieve. That's what we're going to do. But like, there are a lot of people who are experts in puppy training and basic obedience and all that kind of stuff that try to take on aggressive rehab, and they're trying to fit a round peg into a square hole because that's not their specialty. Be self-aware, be humble enough to say, this is not my realm of influence. Let's refer you to somebody who can do it, because that's how people end up spending $8,000 on multiple trainers with the same problem and go, my dog is unfixable or it needs to be euthanized, because you went to people who are really good at dealing with childhood trauma, but you need quadruple bypass here. Like, don't put your hands in my body. Just get them in my brain. Like, you need to find somebody who specializes in what you need. And that's a huge thing, because a lot of people go, dog training. A dog trainer is a dog trainer is a dog trainer is a dog trainer. It is not.
Yeah.
Just because you're a dog trainer doesn't mean you specialize in all of this shit.
That's solid advice.
I think it also applies to anyone that owns any business or any career choice you go into.
Very true.
So, I mean, we see that in a lot of the other people we've talked on the podcast doing other professions and whatnot. So,
Yeah. Nah, that's pretty solid. I had some questions that just came off. I didn't come prepared with them. I just want to know. I'm just interested to know. Okay. When I rattle these off, first one that comes to your mind, if even afterward you go, fuck, maybe it's 3 of them, just the first one that comes to your mind. Okay. I'm going to ask. We'll go in order. We'll go Sabrina, then Jaimee. All right. Favorite dog?
you talking about dog breed or their favorite dog that they trained?
Yeah. Dog breed.
A pit bull.
German Shepherd.
Okay. Best dog to get if you've never had a dog?
A King Charles Cavalier.
A mutt.
A 12-year-old mutt.
A 12-year-old mutt.
Why for both?
King Charles they're generally just very mellow, sweet, small dogs. Like, I've really never ever came across one that isn't just a goofy little sweetheart.
Nice.
That's true. Yes, they are very sweet. Oh, no, that's not true. I've trained one. That was
We
really
all
nice.
know. We all
Nino.
know.
There's
always an exception.
There's
Nino-
always an exception.
Nino was an asshole.
Yeah.
A mutt, because you're not going to have to deal with predominant breed. You're not going to be a breedist. If you just go out and pick out a dog that's just some random mix of whatever without any pre-existing ideas, a lot of people that are first-time dog owners are like, I want an active dog, so I'm going to get a Malinois. Like, no. Right? Like, that's not what that looks like. Or what you read on the AKC website about breed standards, take that with a grain of salt. Just because the dog is categorized as intelligent doesn't mean you should get it, because it's going to figure out really quickly how to open your doors and manipulate you. Like,
Take
Maybe
advantage
you don't
of
do
you.
your taxes, huh?
right. But like, get a mutt. Generally, there's a larger health profile and all that kind of stuff. Just get a mutt and deal with it as a dog first, and then go from there.
Opposite. Probably the least preferable dog to get if you've never owned a dog.
A livestock guardian breed.
Any sort of shepherd.
What was the other one I had? Fuck. What was the other one? Oh, okay. This one's just. It's a question I always ask, but it's definitely the person I know. I'm going to preface it with that. But what would be, quote unquote, the most dangerous dog if you didn't know what to do?
You talking about breed?
Yeah, breed.
I don't know if I can actually put a breed on that. I mean, the most dangerous dog is the one that you're not listening to.
Okay.
That's actually a very good answer. I'm going to steal her.
Perfect. Perfect. I guess that's the questions I had. I had some other questions. What's a Rottweiler? What were they bred to do? Because those are another ones that like pretty fucking.
They were
active.
actually, it's funny because they were actually bred to do a few different things. They're definitely like guarding dogs, like
Yeah.
they're protection type dogs. But they also, in Germany, they pull carts.
Yeah.
Beer carts.
Yeah.
They do. They pull carts. Yeah.
They've also been used for some sort of like livestock work, large livestock work. It's actually a very versatile breed.
Utility.
Yeah, utility animals.
I want to say, what's going to be if you decide to get another dog I'm talking about the house, not for obviously the breeding. What's going to be your next dog?
An Irish Wolfhound.
I was going to ask about that. I know you guys were talking about stuff in the works for that, so we'll talk offline. So it doesn't be public.
I want a Jack Russell Terrier.
Okay, nice.
It's like giant, little.
Let's go. Why and why?
I find them to be just they're actually, first of all, they're very impressive. They're enormous. Like they're the tallest dog. They're fucking huge. So they're very impressive looking, but personality wise, they are just mellow. And like I like mellow dogs. So yeah, that I guess. Should probably do a little bit more research.
No, just do it.
Let's do it.
Learn the hard way.
Because I can braid its hair.
That sounds great. So I have two reasons. One's a practical and one's a completely impractical reason. And the impractical reason is really embarrassing.
Do I know this?
Probably not. So the practical reason is I love the spiciness and the high energy and the intelligence level. It's like a German Shepherd, but in a small little package. And I want something that's a little bit more travel friendly.
Oh, nice.
So I want like a compact size, and I won't get anything with mini on ethical reasons for breeding, because when you breed for size, you don't get really good genetics anyway. Tim can tell you all about it. But
I don't know what you're talking about.
the other reason is because one of the most traumatic movies I ever watched was My Dog Skip. Have you ever seen that movie?
I feel like I have it when I was a kid. I know the
Okay.
name.
So
I have a feeling a Jack Russell dies in it.
Yes. So there's this Jack Russell. There was the storyline was
Spoiler.
like, something happened where like the kid got a Jack Russell and the dog would just be with the kid all the time, and they had this very great relationship, right? And something was going down, and the kid was in trouble, and the Jack Russell came and like, but I cry talking about it every time. I still can't watch the movie without sobbing. I sobbed for days.
And then you wonder why people have problems with their dogs when they bring them home when they get them based on this kind of
So the Jack Russell went and bit the bad guy, and the bad guy beat the Jack Russell off with a shovel, and the Jack Russell went flying into the woods. It didn't die then, but like he died of a nice old age. Of like it tells the story of like how he waited for him to come home from college and all this kind of stuff.
I've definitely seen this.
I sobbed. I've never cried so hard in a movie outside of King Kong, but like, like I sobbed for that movie, and I still can't watch it. My family still makes fun of me all the time from My Dog
But
Skip.
point and check, like this is how people pick out dogs. There's a whole Disney effect to dogs, and you think because and obviously like she would get a Jack Russell and do right by the dog, but like that's how people think without being like, I'm getting a spicy little motherfucker that's gonna hang from like my body parts because that's what they do, right? Like,
See, I wanted to do that.
yeah. Like you're aware of that aspect of it, but other people just see that part of it, like the movie realm of it, and that's what gets people in trouble.
But yeah, that's
at
why
that
I want a Jack
callback.
Russell. Yeah, I want a Jack Russell because of My Dog Skip.
Nice. No, it's good. You have any,
No, don't worry. I'm going to
He's
ask
like,
them
I've
more.
lived it. I've lived it.
I've talked to them so much.
So, how we like to wrap it up here is just one last thing that you would like to
Takeaways,
say.
messages you want
any
to-
message or takeaway to anyone, dog trainers, people who are getting dogs, nothing to do with dogs. What do you got for both of you to closing remark?
Oh man, that's a big ask. Like, can we take a pause?
I went first.
They're going to start and end.
Now you're gonna go second first.
Yeah, second first. Same as the first. I would say that we all I think just need to like honor and respect each other, and not like from a human level and from like a different species level. Like I think that's always the big conversation that we're having with people, and just understand that you're dealing with something from another culture. And we're always trying to bend everything to us, and we don't ever bend towards maybe what they need to feel more comfortable. So when you're dealing with dogs, you're literally taking something from another culture and you're inviting it into your own, and you gotta respect that balance, just like if you're inviting another human from another culture into your own.
Nice.
I think for me, like being in dog training and learning dogs has made me exceedingly self-aware. And I can't stress to anybody enough the importance of asking why. Why am I doing this? Why is my dog doing this? Why is this working? Why is this not working? In your relationships, in your business, in your life, by turning that question inward and kind of shedding the victimhood mentality of, instead of why is this happening to me? Why is this happening? And why am I responding the way I'm doing? Self-reflection and understanding yourself and how you play a part in things and understanding why things work and respond to you the way you are is a life-changing dynamic that, whether you have a dog or not, if you start thinking about things through that lens, will shift your life in the trajectory of the positive infinitely for the better.
Amen. Awesome. I couldn't agree more.
It's awesome. Well, Sabrina, Jaimee, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for coming to visit.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having us here. This is beautiful, very beautiful. Based off of what I'm hearing, how you guys present yourself, the mission and goal behind it, I definitely can see, and I'm sure Timmy can share this, that you guys are going to, the continued success. You guys are going to blow up, I think, bigger than, I think you have aspirations and goals and what you're visualizing. I think you're going to blow up even bigger because of where you're coming from and the standpoint you're coming from. So keep doing what you guys are doing. You're incredible.
Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. You have a very good way of transmitting the idea to someone who has no background. I have no background when it comes to dogs, but now I'm starting to understand how people can struggle when they have a dog, where you can go to get better, right? So keep doing it. You know, you guys are gonna continue success. Tell everyone where you guys can be found. Any Instagrams, websites, like I don't know. Tell everyone where you can be.
The website is Canine-Cooperative, canine spelled out, .com.
And we're on Instagram, same thing, Canine Cooperative, Facebook, Canine Cooperative. And we also have a podcast called Canine Cooperative.
You can listen to my episode on there. There's a lot of great information on their Instagram page. There's a lot of reels, clips, all that stuff. You had the one, was it yesterday you posted of the guy finally petting his dog?
Oh, yeah.
That was
awesome.
Go watch that. I don't know. Was that a reel? I don't know.
It was a story.
I don't know.
That's
But
Taylor. Where's Taylor?
yeah. We'll make it a reel. But go. They have a lot of great information just on their Instagram page. Like you can learn a lot even before reaching out to them directly.
And we'll put the links in the show notes in the description so people can get there real quickly. Yeah, absolutely. Folks, insanely great episode. A lot of information to digest. Definitely re-listen to it. Actually absorb the words that were said, not just what you heard. Like, there's a lot to learn from here. I learned. I didn't know shit coming into this, and now if I get a dog, I know where I'm going to take them.
And boy, do we have the dog for you.
Yeah.
We'll take it from here. Episode 179. We'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.